40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The new league year has officially started in the NFL. Coinciding with that, the Titans announced they have assigned second-round tenders To restricted free agents Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart, they also tendered exclusive rights free agent Naquan Jones. College basketball, Fairleigh Dickinson and Arizona State both won their first four contests last night. The NCAA Tournament begins in earnest today. Our game coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, begins at 11 a.m. in the East Region. 4th-seeded Tennessee takes on 13th-seeded Louisiana. Tip-off set for approximately 8:40 tonight. Vol Network coverage begins at 8 o'clock. Don't miss out on that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Thursday morning edition, off and running on a beautiful day in the Music City. Well, the sun's not going to be up for a while, and the Vols tip off in 15 hours. But you know what? It's beautiful because we said so.
Yeah.
On Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, with the executive producer of Titans Radio, Rhett Bryan, filling in for Ramon Foster, our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson, and the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
My name is Will Bowling.
His name is Will Bowling!
You know what? That's the energy that we've got all morning long for you right there. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we?
Doing well.
Yes, because NCAA Tournament really kicks into high gear today.
Yes.
Free agency goes into day number 2. And as the big man would say, because he's on vacation, it's Friday Eve. Let's
Friday
go.
Eve.
Well
Yeah.
done, Kayla.
And we're going to act like it. Today is one of my 2 favorite days of the year.
Take the surprise out your voice.
I love Christmas. I love
The
other
magic
days.
and wonder of Christmas.
But the magic and wonder of March Madness, to me,
It's
is
the best.
the best day of the year. Of the year, Craig. The year.
Yeah. 3HL, they want to, say, we want the time change. We don't want to do it all the time. What is it? Time, they don't want to roll back or roll forward, whatever it is.
Y'all have the next
don't
2
wanna
days
fall
off.
back.
I don't want to hear any word coming out of your mouth.
Well, that's true, too.
There we go. But I'm going to say this. This is for the people.
All right,
this is
go.
not just for us.
Oh,
They should make Thursday and Friday a national holiday for the NCAA Tournament.
forget the Super Bowl. We want March Madness off.
Whoa, hey, whoa.
But why not? Por qué no los dos? Okay.
Schaefer might have fell off his
Hold
chair
on
back
a
there.
damn second now. Now, wait a minute. I am all for Kayla's platform, but wait a minute. If there's going to be a dad blame holiday, it's going to be the day after the
the Super Bowl.
greatest sporting event in North America watched by most of the world, the Super Bowl.
The world, Craig.
That needs to happen too.
Because that's got to be one of the least productive days in the workforce every year, and this is right there with it.
It's true.
Make up.
There we go.
Forget the Super Bowl.
Well, now the way you work
now
around the
that's
Super Bowl
fighting words right there, Big Daddy.
is you add a second bye week. That way the Super Bowl can be the day before President's Day. That way most of the country would have
Oh,
an
way to just categorize and
Oh.
compartmentalize it and just box it up and put a little stamp on it.
It's
Great.
Forget you,
It's
George
what our-
Washington.
It's what our presidents would want. I don't know. It's what Abe Lincoln would want.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's true. Him too.
Yeah, please. 3 or 4 times.
You know what,
Middle
though?
finger.
That's a development there, and I love the development because he can move on to another market. I want to see him basically crucified in the New York media.
It'd be great.
Yeah, I wonder if Mike Greenberg on Get Up will talk about him more or less because he's going to be his quarterback as the New York Jets.
Depends on the day.
Goodness sakes. I'm excited about today's show because we can stop talking about Aaron Rodgers after today.
Yes.
Now the focus,
Aaron Rodgers.
Unfortunately for Aaron.
Well, the focus nationally now. I mean, and we'll go through what happened yesterday when he went on Pat McAfee's show, but the focus now nationally is what happens to Lamar Jackson.
Exactly.
That's right. A couple of big free agents finding homes yesterday, including, how about Orlando Brown going to the Cincinnati Bengals? Don't like that.
I was just going to say.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I see the way the reported structure was that it's a lot of guaranteed money. I'm surprised at the numbers of the total contract, especially given what was it, Jamar Taylor from Jacksonville got with Kansas City. And it makes me wonder, were they just got a little tired of Zeus Jr. and they were ready to move on? Don't know. I mean, probably never know that, but it just seems odd to me. And Joe Burrow's got him a blindside protector for quite a while.
I mean, it feels like a lot of teams would have been in on Orlando Brown for 4 years and $64 million. Like
that's what I thought.
It feels like the Chiefs downgraded for a guy that's more expensive in Jawan Taylor versus Orlando Brown, who was fine last year, but isn't anything special at that position. I mean, he's good. He's just not a Pro Bowl caliber player like I feel like Orlando Brown might be.
And maybe he can prove us wrong on that one. But I don't think it was like a downgrade, but I feel like the better guy went to Cincinnati.
Right.
You know what was funny, too, is we were talking about channels that we watch or sports shows that we watch and don't watch. But I did happen to turn it on to NFL Live yesterday, and here's Orlando Brown Jr. in the studio.
Yeah, he was
just chilling with them.
He was on ESPN yesterday, too.
Yeah. Was this the car wash for free agency now?
Well, that's interesting because we didn't hear anything from him or his camp leading up to all this, and it's like, well, then obviously that was premeditated.
Yes.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a car wash. Run it through everything in Bristol before you sign with. That's interesting to me, and
it really is.
Don't know if that's something that's going to become a trend or not.
Yeah, I'd never seen that either. I had the same thought because I saw Laura Rutledge posted on her Twitter like, "Oh, we got Orlando Brown in studio today."
Yeah,
you do.
It was weirded out. I actually had to check a couple times to make sure it was the right guy. But I will say this, really great guy. I had never really heard him speak. I don't know what the past is, but in terms of media, seemed like a good media person. What's the background? I don't know enough about him.
The last time I saw Orlando Brown, he was flipping a double bird to me in the Tennessee student section after Oklahoma beat Tennessee.
Well, Will, who is this on? You or Orlando Brown?
Yeah. How's bragging camp going?
Thank you for that, because I was like, way to make it about you, Will. That's interesting.
The one up that,
good.
Will.
Should I go join Buck later too? Okay.
No, he's only on for an hour. Thank God.
Well, hey, where is everybody today for all of that?
I
Tell me
believe
again.
it is Party Foul Murfreesboro.
Yes,
Let me
Murfreesboro today, Cool Springs tomorrow.
Okay.
A little hot chicken.
Yeah.
But we're still here.
Yeah.
And we are still here.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I think I'm going to finish up after the show, finish my work up, and I'm going to go to the borough, I think, and hang out.
And they have
Good for you.
cheerwine at Party Foul, which we were discussing yesterday.
They do?
They do have cheerwine there.
And they have boosted
Two words
slushies.
for you, buddy. I'm in.
So the last
There
time
you
I
go.
was there,
Those
it was
boozy slushies.
I was with
So good.
Blaine and Mickey for the Titans-Chiefs game this past year, doing a watch party there with the Titans. And I think I had 4 cheerwines, and I only was able to stay for the first half because I had to come back down here to do Titans Talkback.
Oh,
I literally had
so
like
no
4
alcohol.
cheerwines.
Yeah, 4 cheer wines. He was a little tipsy.
That's right. There was one time I was checking out at I forget which grocery store it was. I was in college, and they're like, "Oh, can we see your ID for that?" And I was like,
For cheerwine?
"For a soft drink?" They're like, "What? This is wine." I said,
No.
"This is a soft drink." Like, what are we? It's kind of wild.
Hit the wrong button. My bad.
Was that Damon Amendolara?
David
It was.
Amendolara.
I was
You
moving
really
the
not want to
spots
hear me
around.
talk
This
that badly?
March, it's Damon Amendolara for a CBS. Wait a minute, we don't have those anymore.
Sportsman.
I was thinking,
They ID'd you for cheer wine because it
For
has
cheer
wine
wine.
in the name?
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
they
that's
should have
interesting.
thought-
Okay, you
should have
remind
thought
me of
about it.
something. My dad used to tell me this story, and when he was in high school, he was, I'm sure he raised a little hell.
Sure.
He had a 62 Impala Super Sport that would haul ass. Anyway, he got pulled over, and he was drinking a soft drink, and I forget what it was. I don't know if it was a Coke or whatever.
okay.
And the officer said, you drinking and driving? He said, yeah, I got, a Coke or whatever it is. He goes, would you like one? I guess, the guy
Yeah.
was trying to bust him on drinking and driving. He's like, no.
Would you like one?
Would you like a Coke?
That's great.
Here, trade me your jersey for a Coke. I'm Mean Joe Green.
There's the
Thanks.
joke.
Nice. That's no. It's I like grabbed one to drive. Was going to watch The Bachelor yesterday and was like driving when drinking a cheer wine. Was like, this probably to somebody else looks like I'm just drinking a beer, but I'm not.
Okay.
Anyway,
What was the other soft drink you mentioned yesterday?
Ale 81.
Ale 81.
Ginger ale.
Yes.
You can get it at one place in Brentwood, and then the Granny White Market. The artist formerly known as the Purple Cow on Granny White Pike used to have them, and then the Purple Cow was bought out by some big gas station brand.
Okay.
It's just like a regular gas station.
I
now.
feel like you can get those at Cracker Barrel
Yes.
in the country store side because they have a lot
Yes,
of
you can.
Old
Random
school
stuff?
sodas. Yeah, like the Moxie and things like that they don't make in large.
Have you had
production.
Moxie? Because that's a Northeast drink. Have you had Moxie?
I have.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What is that?
I don't even know how I would describe it because I only had it once.
Is it a pop
Like
or
a
a
soda?
soda?
It's
Like a
soda.
stronger RC Cola?
Oh,
Yes.
RC.
Yeah.
Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Ryan Clark Cola.
Yeah.
You ever had a Kick?
No, I've had Ski.
Ski is good.
What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah, I've never heard of any of this.
Kick is
I
good.
haven't had Kick.
This is something I've never heard of a lot of these brands.
Some of them are regional. A lot of them, in fact,
Okay.
a lot of them are regional.
Yeah.
Went down to
Wow.
Dumas Walker for the Ski.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would do
Slaw burger,
Stewart's.
fries, and a bottle of Ski.
I would do
Bring it on back to my
Stewart's,
baby and me.
Stewart's orange soda was my favorite for a while.
Oh, now that's
And then IBC root beer is what we would
That's
have at my
still-
grandparents'
sure, yeah.
house.
How about a grape knee high?
yes.
Delicious. So a lot of the soda companies, much like beer, go back a long, long time. And, before modern technology, there were, people talk about microbreweries. That's just a next generation, second generation, or a 2.0 of what it was many, many years ago, pre-prohibition. You didn't have a way to distribute and do things, because it was olden times, as they would say. And so you would have all these different brands of beer all over the place, and a lot of them didn't make it through prohibition. Same thing with sodas. They were regional. And if they caught on, they would,
They'd stick.
bleed into other markets.
Yeah.
But, Coca-Cola's the one that really kind of survived all of that and moved out of Atlanta into other spots. And that's why there was processing and bottling plants in different towns, because they couldn't handle all the distribution.
Yep.
That's
So you just make it in the
interesting.
town closest to you and it'd be shipped to you.
The more you know. But the IBC root beer in a glass bottle, and then my grandmother would have like a frosted mug in the freezer,
Yep.
and then you
Sure.
drink a IBC root beer in a frosted mug.
I'm not a huge root beer guy.
I'm not
I
either.
enjoy a really good one from
time to time.
Yeah, but I feel like that's an acquired taste
Now
too.
cream soda.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
good to know.
A&W.
Somebody mentioned Fago on the chat. I think
Fago Orange.
Isn't that for juggalos?
Fago.
Isn't that for juggalos?
Don't disparage Fago.
No,
Fago,
listen. I
great.
drank Fago when I was a kid. No question. But that is like the choice of the juggalos that are mega fans of
I
the
still
insane
stop at
clown
the gas
posse.
station to pick up a Fago Orange.
Wow. Coming up this morning, we revisit our conversation with Josh Ward, previewing Tennessee's matchup with Louisiana in T-minus 14 hours and 45 minutes.
Woo.
Good God.
You ready?
Coach Dave McGinnis details the Titans signings, the new additions made reportedly this week, and Eytan Shander, our friend from oddshopper.com out of Philadelphia, bets the NCAA tournament, making all of you some money. And I will be getting a pen and paper for that segment at a later time. That way I can make some money along with the people this afternoon as the NCAA tournament begins. But coming up next, a keys to a Tennessee win with our friend Josh Ward from the Sports Animal in Knoxville. We'll revisit our conversation, see what Tennessee needs to do in order to book its ticket to play the Duke Blue Devils on Saturday night in Orlando. Coming up as Ramon, Kayla, and Will gets rolling on 104.5 The Zone. 9 p.m. tonight, Tennessee begins its journey through the NCAA Tournament, and I begin my journey to having a really high heart rate for about 2.5 hours. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. I did check that during the Missouri game, and I think we had like half of a fraternity of Missouri fans next to us. The heart rate was in like the 120s, and I was like, Will, it's the first half. What are we doing, man?
Can you do anything to calm it down?
No. Not really. And the problem is I'm going to have to drink a lot of coffee that my heart rate's already going to be
Good
up.
luck with that.
Hey, your bump music, was that Biggie?
Yes,
Biggie.
Juicy.
Biggie Small? Okay.
Juicy.
Right, because I'm old enough, I remember Matumi, Juicy,
Oh,
your original
my
song,
gosh.
before he sampled that.
How
So,
about it?
Juicy fruit.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's a good song.
We'll continue recapping another busy day in NFL free agency yesterday with a couple of the big names off the board, with Aaron Rodgers finally maybe settled, kind of. Who's to say?
You, Aaron Rodgers.
That's right. But first, we get to our conversation with Josh Ward of the Sports Animal in Knoxville. A good preview on Louisiana, what they do well, and why Tennessee fans shouldn't be too concerned about tonight's matchup. But heads are always on a swivel this time of year. Here's Josh Ward previewing the Ragin' Cajuns of the Vols tonight in March Madness. Josh, when you look at this Louisiana matchup, what concerns you the most about them? I know they've got the 6'11 forward Jordan Brown. Tennessee's been pretty good at guarding the post in general this season with Jonas Adu and Tobe Awaka. What specifically maybe concerns you a little bit about this matchup for Tennessee?
Well, not a lot with the matchup. Brown is where the conversation starts because of how good he is, and he is a high major talent. He's a legitimate guy who was actually at Arizona, was a productive player there, and then in the Sun Belt has been a dominant player. But if you look at their team, they don't shoot a lot of threes, but they do shoot a high rate. And Greg Williams Jr. is a guard who shoots about 40% from the three-point line. And Tennessee's defense on the perimeter does not have Zakai Ziegler anymore. And for Tennessee's defense the last couple weeks, as the game has gone along, again, this is without Zakai on the floor. Look at the second half against Auburn, the second half against Missouri. You had Wendell Green, who had success, and he's driving the basketball. But he had a big game, 24 points against Tennessee. And then Missouri is a shot-making team. But if Louisiana finds open shots and Tennessee does not have guys in the right place and they do not communicate well, and they get open looks, Louisiana is capable of knocking them down. And if Tennessee's offense is not playing at a high level, which it's capable, then you could be in the middle of that game. Louisiana believes, hey, we got a shot to pull off an upset here, and then you see what happens. So try to avoid that. But the post play, my message to them is simple. Hey, you need to rebound. You need to defend well. Do what you can to take away Jordan Brown, because Tennessee does have the personnel to do that. You're not asking these guys to go score points. You ask Vescovy and Josiah. And against Missouri, it was in a loss, but you had 30 points from Meshack and Tyreek Key. If you get that kind of offensive production, then Tennessee should be fine against Louisiana.
Josh, we talked to Ron Slay about this yesterday. He was just talking about the health of the team, how important that is, obviously, when you're going to try to go on a tournament run. And he even mentioned, Josiah Jordan-James, just making sure he's 100% because he's dealt with some injuries. How good do you feel like it was, as much as you want to go all the way in the SEC tournament, to have this extra rest time for them?
Yeah, so the way Alabama played last weekend in the SEC tournament, I don't think anybody was beating them. If Tennessee had beaten Missouri on Friday, I am confident Tennessee would not have beaten Alabama the next day. We'll never know, but that would be my strong guess. So would beating Missouri and playing another day against Alabama, which would have been a pretty tough game physically to go through, would that have been good for Tennessee or bad to get ready for this tournament? It wouldn't have helped, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So not that Tennessee wanted to lose to Missouri, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world because of what they've gone through over the last couple of months with injuries. And for Josiah, it's been a conversation all season long. Having him ready and having the team ready, Vescovy with what he's asked to do on both ends of the floor without Zakai being there. Tyreek, he's not been incredibly healthy the last few weeks. He had to miss a couple of games late in the regular season. That I do think is the top priority. This team knows what it has to do. They need to execute a little bit better on defense from what we've seen near the end of the season. But again, to get ready for Louisiana, they should be fine. If Tennessee's able to play like it's capable of and have a comfortable lead and maybe get guys out late in the game against Louisiana. That can help you as you have the quick turnaround on Saturday for what would be a tougher game. So first things first, win the game, but being physically ready, that has been a challenge for this team through a lot of conference play. So making sure they're ready this week has to be the priority.
I'm just purely, interested in what is I guess, what's the excitement right now in Knoxville and in terms of a lot of these people traveling to watch the Vols? Because I know it's been a season, to end it at least, has been a little bit up and down and maybe not as much as excitement in the past or as in the past. What is it like? Can you set the tone there?
I don't think it's all that exciting right now. I think there's a lot of trepidation heading into the tournament. I think there already was that because of the way this season was going. Think about back in January when this team was top 5, and even when they had the win against Texas and move up to number 2, we were still on our show in Knoxville and other shows I think were, and we were talking to Ron about it when he would come on. We'd say, shouldn't there be a little more energy with what this team is doing and where they're ranked and what the season could be? And then February happened, and that did not help. So I don't sense a ton of energy or optimism. There's hope. If Tennessee gets to the Sweet 16, then you can snap your fingers and everybody will be calling it a successful season. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people will. Has been my thought. So you have a 2-game opportunity to change that. But when you're talking about the mindset and hope, even though Tennessee's favored in this 4-team set, I think a lot of people see Duke and like, oh man, yeah. Duke's hot. It's the name of Duke. And that just creates fear as well. So, yeah, that's been part of the conversation this week and the last several is what needs to happen to get a little more juice for Tennessee fans to be excited.
Josh, with all of that in mind, knowing that you could look too far ahead and think about a Duke matchup in the next round or the next game, how hard is it going to be for Rick Barnes to keep those guys focused in making sure, like you just said a moment ago, the task at hand and beating Louisiana tomorrow night?
Well, it's a good question, and I think it's kind of a required question when you're talking about a 4 versus 13 matchup, and that's a team that, talking about Louisiana, that has older guys who are talented, who are thinking, hey, why can't we go beat Tennessee? They're going to turn on film and see some issues that Tennessee's had recently and see that Tennessee has not been playing its best basketball recently and believe that it can win. But in terms of the mindset and the focus, because Tennessee has veterans who have been in the NCAA tournament and they know what's required at this stage, and they're coming off the loss against Missouri where, again, losing I don't think was the worst thing in the world, but they didn't seem too happy after that game. I think James and Vescovy and Tyreek Key knows this is his last chance here. I think those guys are motivated to try to finish this season in a positive way. I think they mean it when they say that they're motivated to play for Zakai out there. Not that that's going to make a big difference, but if we're having the conversation of mindset and focus, I think something like that can help. And then I don't worry at all about players like Jemai Mashak and Tobe Awaka with the way that they play, the energy they play with. That can be a big bonus in this kind of game and this time of year. So you never know. But my guess is that Tennessee will be locked in and mentally ready when it plays Louisiana.
And with the problems that they've had recently, and I think it's been periodic throughout the year, but really in the last month or so, turnovers is something that is something that drives Tennessee fans crazy in this. But if they are to beat Louisiana tomorrow night, fill in the blank, what will they have done well?
Well, I do think taking care of the basketball in this kind of game is important because if you don't, that can give a lesser team more opportunities. I think if Tennessee plays good enough defense, then some of those concerns on the perimeter, open shots for Louisiana shouldn't be there because in other games where teams shot well, like Missouri, Missouri can hit tough shots, but they had to do that against Tennessee, and they went in. If Tennessee's able to defend well and force Louisiana to make tough shots, they're probably not taking a ton. And then that makes it more difficult for them to come back. And then rebounding the basketball, I just think is a big deal. Don't allow Jordan Brown to have a dominant performance where we're coming out of there saying, yeah, maybe the top player in the Sun Belt, certainly he was in consideration for that, and a former Pac-12 guy. That was a big stage for him. I mean, if you look at the resume of Louisiana, it deserves to be in this spot. But against the best competition it faced, Texas, when it played a major conference game, lost by 28 points. So the personnel that Tennessee has, they don't have Zakai, but they have all these names that we've run through, and the seniors need a lead. James, Vescovy, Olivier Cumwa. If they do that, then Tennessee will beat Louisiana.
Josh Ward, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Josh, Lucas Panzica on our station explained it well to me a couple weeks ago when he said, it feels like Tennessee is always on the wrong side of guys that make one shining moment. Like Ryan Klein for Purdue, showing up in one shining moment, and Oregon State, and Sister Jean. Who is that guy for Tennessee who you feel like can get hot and can really carry this team? Because it feels like we were a crazy Michigan performance by a big man away from Kennedy Chandler maybe being that guy this time a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, like Sister Jean, love her, but the memoir coming out, Tennessee fans like, man, we're still having to think about what happened against Loyola Chicago. And Tennessee's been on the opposite side of that, too, and that Tennessee's had to deal with an injury that was so costly, like Kyle Alexander in that game. And, Tennessee fans they're good on this information. They don't need me to keep going. So who could step up on Tennessee's side that you're thinking, man, what a difference that was? So Josiah is a leader, so I don't think he counts in this conversation. He is a difference maker, though. If he scores, if he has big scoring performances, the results show that can carry Tennessee a long way. But I'll say Tyreek Key. The Missouri game in Knoxville, the story out of that game should have been what an awesome second half Tyreek Key had where he could not miss, and that carried Tennessee back. But instead, Missouri hit a shot at the buzzer, and the Vols lost the game. He has scoring ability. He has the ability to hit a bunch of shots. Like this time of year, you think about, Ryan Klein would be the example of just cannot miss from the outside, knocking down 3, 4, 5, keep on going three-pointers. Tyreek Key has that ability. So you know what you're getting from Vescovy. You know what his role is. We know that Josiah needs to step up and play well. If Jemai Mashack can provide a lot of offense, that's great, but his energy and defense is where the conversation begins. Tyreek Key, if he can hit shots, if he can be a guy that they count on offensively, because that's why they brought him to Tennessee as a transfer from Indiana State, that can be the difference in Tennessee being able to get out of this weekend and advance to the Sweet 16.
So there's Josh Ward previewing Tennessee and Louisiana tonight in March Madness Game 1 for the Volunteers. And guys, I can't help but think when I watch a little bit of the tournament last night, and it's True TV Awareness Day, by the way, where everyone once again learns where True TV is on their television sets.
Correct.
I can't help but already think about all of the heartwarming stories I'm going to be tired of by halftime tonight.
Okay.
Well, the Grinch. Look at you.
I mean, it's the reason why every time Sister Jean is shown in this state, everyone just changes the channel and just rolls their eyes a little bit.
Okay.
He wants a Vols one shiny moment.
I realize I am the problem here, but I don't care. And it's that, and then the amount of repetitive commercials that by day one, the end of day one of the NCAA tournament.
Are you excited for the tournament or not?
I'm really not.
Because really, I am having a hard
confused.
time gauging what's going on
I'm
here.
getting mixed messages here.
Based on
Absolutely.
the March experiences I've had over the past couple of years. I'm Jim Halpert when he gets hit with the last snowball by Dwight Schrute.
That
I just
battered
wanted
ball
to stop.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just enjoy the moment and keep trucking, man. Come on.
Enjoy the one shining
Yes.
Will Bowling, Thief of Joy.
That's right. No, but it's just the amount of commercials that you will see every single break for the entire weekend.
Well, it's because
Today, you're like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Well, they've sold those clients through the block of
That's right.
the whole, they've bought a flight package, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
What I do look forward to today, though, is seeing Candace Parker be a Tennessee fan. Because they always make a bit out of her watching the Tennessee game and her just like going crazy.
I like it.
And
Candace
calling
Parker's
out the
just
dudes around
legend.
her.
The greatest.
Take the surprise out your voice.
She's so good at television. It's unbelievable.
Nephew Selly in the
Pretty good at basketball,
chat.
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
she
good.
is. Nephew Selly is dogging on me for my Gonzaga hoodie. Bro, I'm from Spokane. I grew up there, born and raised. I've watched the Zags from when they were nothing. I'm going to wear this hoodie as much as I want to.
There you go. Coming up next,
This public service announcement brought to you by Kayla Anderson.
there's
So,
one.
Sally, what Kayla basically said was,
You, Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she's saying she goes back before, because the first time I ever heard of Gonzaga was when John Stockton became, a property in the NBA. I was like, where's Gonzaga? I'm
People
hip
never
from Middle
pronounce it
Tennessee.
right,
Right.
Gonzaga,
Gonzaga. It's like, no,
in
that's
Spokane.
Zaga. Zags.
I learned this past year from Don Davenport that I've been pronouncing Nevada wrong my entire life.
Right.
That it's Nevada and not Nevada.
That is
Go
correct.
Vols.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Dawn, you want to sit down and talk about pronunciation of some poly kids from the islands and correct pronunciations of things? Come see me.
Go Vols.
There are some tough ones this
I
year.
mean, we can,
Your boy on the
Break it
defensive line
down.
from Northwestern.
Adetamiwa Adebare.
Him.
That's a tough one.
That's a good one.
He goes by Tommy.
Yamaliava?
Tommy Adebare.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yo, Tommy boy.
Coming up next, a run on running backs last night in free agency. A couple guys finding new homes and a few going back to where they came from, including one that sounded a lot worse than it really was. And there's no coming back from it. We'll go to break now on 104.5 The Zone.
Go to break!
Hey, friends, it is Kayla Anderson here for our friends at Old School Vapor. You know, you wake up, maybe this morning you're having some aches and pains. I know I am because I got in my workout yesterday. But you know what? We got a place where you can go because I deal with it every day, finding Old School Vapor, hands down, the most knowledgeable when it comes to helping me get relief. And I know my co-host that's on vacation right now, Ramon, as a former professional athlete, loves it too. As soon as you walk in, there is someone to greet you, guide you in the right direction. And you know what, pet owners, bonus, they have so many choices for your fur babies, big or small. If they have separation anxiety, let's say you travel with your pets a lot, they have something for that as well. Go shop Old School Vapor selection of over 200 legal CBD products. They've got brands like Looper, Torch, Hidden Hills, and much more. You need Elf bars. Well, they've got those too. A lot of authentic flavors. And then, of course, you can check them out anywhere. They've got Instagram. You can just Google them at Old School Vapor to check out where your nearest location is. They've got 4 right now, convenient locations: Franklin, both ends of Spring Hill, Columbia, and more to come. That is Old School Vapor. Remember, these products contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical, must be 21 years or older to purchase, and no sale to minors.
Time is running out for you to fill out your brackets. Register today. Heck, register right now for 104.5 The Zone's $1 Million Bracket Challenge, sponsored by Party Foul, for a chance to win $1 million. It's a local contest. Register today, 1045thezone.com.
Fill out a bracket, take a screenshot, and send it to Buck Rising because he wants to see all of your picks. Trust me, he told me to tell you.
Oh, no.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by all four
I
seasons.
got to work on that
Garage
show
Doors.
today.
You do?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What?
Oh,
listen in.
Shafe. I
Because
didn't
it's
know.
only an hour,
Right.
and Lucas is going to go down there to Murfreesboro,
Oh, of course
and they're
he is.
not going to bring Bird in.
Oh, my
So I got to work with
So
Buck
you
for
worked
an hour.
5 hours today. Straight.
Damn.
See you guys.
We're still here.
We're still here.
And I'll be going later.
Yes, you
I'll be
will.
I'm going to go tomorrow down to Cool Springs. I'll go to the
love
Party
it.
Foul tomorrow.
Party Foul also
Party
some
foul.
tasty beignets at that spot. They've got hot chicken and beignets are one of their combo items.
Really?
Oh,
I like the
Really?
string
so good.
French fries.
They're solid too.
I could just down those.
I did not know they had beignets. That's interesting.
They've got a lot of like Cajun stuff
Yeah.
in addition
Huh.
to the hot chicken and everything else. It's very good.
What's the famous
Where's
beignet
that?
place in New Orleans?
Café Dumont?
Cafe Dumont. That's right.
Dumont, yeah.
That place is good.
Dumont, Craig. Dumont. I think that's the world.
The world,
Yeah.
correct.
615-737-1045, our number. And John of the Borough leads us off on the phone lines this morning. What's going on, John?
Good morning, everybody. First off, Cafe Beignet is better than Cafe Dumont, and I will die on that hill. New Orleans is my favorite city on God's green earth, y'all. Anyway, I was calling because I've been waiting for y'all to talk about the tournament because my beloved Memphis Tigers are in the same bracket as y'all's beloved UT Volunteers, and I hope that the basketball gods are kind to us and give us that Sweet 16 matchup where Penny and Kendrick Davis can shoot a three at the final second to give that dagger to Tennessee and send you packing. And then you have regular season Rick all over it.
There'd be a lot of bald fists after that one, wouldn't there, John? There's John of the Borough.
The violence has started.
Okay.
Let's.
Will?
Can we remember for a minute why
Wait.
Tennessee and Memphis
Here it
don't play
goes.
anymore?
Will?
Here
About
it goes.
Penny lying about
Will?
vaccinations
Shut up, Will.
and being mad about
I
stuff.
still don't care. Will?
Okay.
You
You just
ready?
wait.
Yep, go for it.
You know what's coming
What
up
state are we in?
almost 14 hours from now?
What's that? From Memphis to Fountain City. Sing it from the rooftops, Jonathan Schaefer. My body's ready.
As the sun rises
My
here in
body
Nashville,
is
Tennessee.
ready. No, it's not, but it's ready.
Woo, woo, woo.
Anyway, I know a Memphis fan didn't just call talking about March basketball.
Oh,
Maybe they can raise another NIT banner next
That
year and
just
have something to
happened.
actually celebrate.
J-Ball.
I would also love to play Memphis in the Sweet 16. Would very much love
But
that.
you're not playing anybody.
Hopefully they're better behaved.
Jet flying. Limousine ride.
Hopefully the Memphis Tigers are better behaved than the Memphis Grizzlies.
Kiss stealing.
Every
Wheeling
time
dealing.
I get
Son
on
of a
Twitter,
gun.
every time I get on
Yeah.
Twitter, they're doing something malicious. Like yesterday, Desmond Bain got thrown out for punching a guy in a very sensitive area in the middle of a game.
He was just living up to his name, Bane, okay?
He's
It was
living
on
up to-
brand.
living up to
Did he have the
Memphis.
mask on, too?
Born.
Sorry.
You were born
You were born.
You really adopted the darkness. I was born in
Will's going to watch the game in the dark tonight.
Okay,
it'll be
Aaron
9
Rodgers.
PM. What are we like? It's going to be 9 o'clock at night.
You, Aaron
She's going
Rodgers.
to try to go to bed. the second
Aaron
it's over.
Rodgers.
And then you're going to take a bath that's going to take 45 minutes to fill and drain because that's what he did.
By the way, headline on
I will not be doing
on the New York Daily News today, a real shot in the arm, and it was a photo of Aaron Rodgers. Hey,
my God.
Oh yeah, speaking. That's a great segue. Going from one coach who lied about vaccination statuses to a quarterback that did it. Perfect.
There you go.
615-737-1045. Please, God, I hope the next caller doesn't talk about Memphis. Coming up next,
We can arrange that.
the running backs in the free agent market of the NFL picking their new or old destinations yesterday. And Rhett was right. We were talking about it earlier. It did feel like a draft where there was a run on one position, and that position last night was running backs.
And speaking of running backs, the Titans are at Tulane's Pro Day.
That's right.
And they're going to have a meeting with Tajay Spears.
That's a big draft crush in this studio.
Yeah.
Coming up next, the NFL free agency headlines and the Aaron Rodgers decision that we can all now stop talking about. Next on 104.5 The Zone.
Thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
From the Superbook.com sports desk, I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Good morning. It's 7:01. The new league year has officially started in the NFL. Coinciding with that, the Titans announced they have assigned second-round tenders on restricted free agents Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart. They also tendered exclusive rights free agent Naquan Jones. The Cincinnati Bengals are signing four-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. to a 4-year deal worth $64 million, including $43.5 million guaranteed. Fairleigh Dickinson and Arizona State both won their first 4 contests last night. The NCAA Tournament begins in earnest today. Our game coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, starts at 11 a.m. In the East region, 4th-seeded Tennessee takes on 13th-seeded Louisiana. Tip-off set for approximately 8:40 tonight. Vol Network coverage begins at 8. NBA, the Heat defeated the Grizzlies 138-119. Blackhawks at the Predators at the Stone tonight. 7 o'clock will be the face-off. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into our number 2 we go on the Thursday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And as always, it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Rhett Bryan filling in for Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, making the show happen for 5 hours this morning. If you need Jonathan Schaefer, don't, because he'll be available Monday after the next 2 days of filling in for the Buck Rising show as well. My name is Will Baldwin. Didn't mean to put a damper on the great mood we have in this building.
Reminding you to help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm going for a spray tan.
Look at you.
Lovely.
Go on now.
I'm talking about Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
Oh, sorry. I was like, you're going for a spray tan? Okay, cool. Bob Barker. And hey, that was no spray tan on him. That dude was out playing golf. That was real deal.
Natural? You think that's natural?
Oh, yeah.
God, it's an orangey kind of tint, though, huh?
Yeah. Makeup, camera. I don't know. I love Bob Barker.
No, I do too.
And later today in the show, we're going to play the Showcase Showdown. So stay tuned for that. 615-737-1045. That was one of my favorite shows. That was my favorite daytime television. When you were sick from school.
Sure.
Or you were home for some reason, or you had a
10
snow
a.m.,
day.
baby. Appointment television.
It's just like, you know what? I'm going to watch The Price is
It is the quintessential game show. And listen, the Wheel of Fortunes and Jeopardy and all that, they have their place, but it's the standard.
Yeah.
It is.
There we go. Yeah, I know you're looking to do it.
What? Go ahead.
Come on, Barb.
Come on down.
Ah!
You're the next contestant on Price is Right.
Good buddy. Well, if we do some kind
The
of
Price is
trivia
Right
show
is a Mark Goodman, Bill Todman production.
with closed captioning provided by
There we go.
The French Shop.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco tree.
All right, quick question. Favorite game of all time on The Price is Right. Plinko is right up
Plinko's
there,
a
100%.
great one.
Cliffhanger game.
Oh, that's a good one.
Cliffhanger is the right answer. That's 100% my answer.
The greatest game for value, though, like if you want to be a contestant that gets called up because you get the right bid on the initial product,
Yep.
the Golden Road, that's the one.
Oh.
And you take a price, a digit from, and it's a graduated, accelerated, an increasing price value. I saw a man when, like, the initial price he got was on a washer and dryer. They took a digit from that and ended up winning like an ATV four-wheeler, whatever. He won a Ferrari 308 GT and an RV. He went up over 100. Now, this was in the early 80s. It was a Magnum PI car. But the Golden Road is that's the one if you hit it, man, you can really win some prizes and dough.
Come on down, Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Is it hole in one or two?
That's fantastic.
Bob Barker would make his famous putts because he's a big golfer.
He's still ticking.
Oh, yeah.
I think you've had enough.
Oh.
No. Now you've had enough.
Happy Gilmore.
Price is wrong.
The
Price is wrong, Bob.
my favorite
That's
when
not
I
exactly
think
what
of,
he said, but yes.
That's
when
right.
I think of Bob Barker, I think of Barney Stinson being told that was his dad in How I Met Your Mother. His mom
it's
being
pretty
like,
funny.
that's your dad. And he just looks at the TV and it's Bob Barker. And he grows up his whole life studying to be on The Price is Right. That way he can meet his dad, who he's been told is Bob Barker. It's so funny.
That's good.
It is so good.
The
Which I
price
need to
has
go
been
rewatch
right
that
for
show.
free agents.
Yeah, it has.
Sure
Segue.
has.
That is a man.
Look at that. What a pro.
Capital
I
J,
mean,
What a
capital
pro.
B broadcaster, Rhett Bryan, ladies and gentlemen.
so good.
And The Price is Right in the Big Apple for one Aaron Rodgers.
So it's interesting. Did you
Aaron
hear
Rodgers.
any, like, I don't follow the Pat McAfee show or any of that stuff, but it seemed like it was 20 some odd minutes before they did some beating around the bush, so to speak, and then they, finally got to the crux of it. He said that in his darkness retreat, he went into the darkness retreat 90% leaning towards retirement.
Yes.
And then he also said something to the effect that the Packers had told him, take your time, make your decision, whatever, and that when he came out of the darkness retreat, they had kind of pivoted to, hey, you need to make up your mind or whatever, and that they basically moved on. And then when he started speaking about Green Bay in past tense and that Jordan Love's a great kid and really looking forward to what he does there and they've got a great team, then he said basically it's time to move on. So he's going to be a New York Jet.
His destination, he said.
He said, too, that the Packers' feelings apparently changed when he came out of the darkness.
Yes.
Which the fact that the darkness convinced Aaron Rodgers to stay, I've never been angrier at darkness because we were almost rid of this guy.
I know, 90%.
Well, let me tell you what, the New York media may finish him off.
That's true.
Finish him.
Because Green Bay, that's a whole different media group. That'd be like him playing at Nashville versus going to New York. They will eat you alive.
Absolutely.
So Adam Schefter yesterday on ESPN had this to say when talking about the exchange that became very public between him and Aaron because Adam Schefter tweeted out a screenshot of his texts with Aaron Rodgers as soon as the deal became done or announced by Aaron, where Aaron told Adam Schefter, thanks, lose my number.
Nice try.
In talking about how much Aaron Rodgers is going to have to deal with more difficult media, this is how it went down from Adam Schefter's perspective.
Now, again, what happened was the day and the timing of my text to him, which Diana actually encouraged me to do.
We sat right here. I said, why don't we bring Aaron in on the conversation? Why are we talking about someone who may want to voice it?
Well, what happened was Trey Wingo said done deal. Everybody wants to know, is it a done deal? So we called Packers, Jets, Aaron Rodgers. Everybody says, you have to ask somebody else. You have to somebody else. You have to somebody else. And that's what I texted him. Hey, everybody says to ask somebody else. So I'm asking you, have you told the Jets that you're planning to play for them? That was my text to him. And then when he didn't respond, we were sitting in this very spot on Monday. I said, okay, I'm going to call him. So I called him. He sent it right to voicemail. That's when I got the text back.
Look, it's all semantics.
That's my interpretation.
It is smart business by Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets to be on the same page with what they want. Why wouldn't the Jets ask Aaron Rodgers which players he likes? They were recruiting him. This is a guy who was contemplating retirement. This is New York trying to sell themselves. And smart by New York. We saw Tom Brady share with the Tampa Bay Bucks some of the players he would like to play with as well. But again, a wish list. On my Amazon account, I have a wish list. Does that mean I buy every single thing? No. But I would like for them to come true.
Yeah, of course.
So there's Adam Schefter explaining why Aaron Rodgers told him to lose his number.
Can I add to that, too? Because I don't know if you saw this. He actually kind of took down Diana a little, too. Aaron Rodgers did and said, I don't know who that Diana Rossini is.
I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Who is that?
First of all, get a life, Aaron Rodgers. You know who that is.
Yeah.
Give me a
absolutely
freaking
do.
break. First of all, just because she's a woman doing a great job at her role as being insider, which is not common,
His
right?
his brain might be foggy though from all that
could be.
well water he had to drag in from Shailene Woodley in that relationship.
It absolutely could be. But here's the thing.
Excuse me?
Everything she said was exactly what was truth, because then Aaron Rodgers went on to say, yeah, I'd really like to play with this guy and this guy. He said that on the Pat McAfee show.
Sure. Yeah,
like, this guy is nuts.
Yeah. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, we know that we're taught every day. The quarterback, everything revolves around the quarterback in this league. It always has, especially in the last 30, 40 years. And so now what is the compensation? And that's what Green Bay and New York are working out. And people are like, well, they're crazy, and they're not going to get 2 number ones for a nearly 40-year-old. Hey, hang on a second. What happened with Matthew Stafford when he went to the Rams? Right. 2 number ones. Jalen Ramsey just got traded. 2 number ones. I mean, there's examples where not even the same position gets. I mean, I'll give you another one. Who's a linebacker that played in Chicago and went to the
Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
Mack,
2 number
yeah.
ones.
Right.
Yep.
So get ready, and the Jets will pay it, because here's the thing. Robert Saleh is going into year 3, I believe, as the head coach there. And his seat's going to start heating up because of that market. Now, here's the great thing. Like him or not, and I tend to lean on not liking Aaron Rodgers. He drives me crazy. But he brings something to your team you haven't had, and that's quarterback. And the defense that they have in place, they re-signed Quinnen Williams. I mean, they towards the end of the year, they were 5th in yards allowed, 4th in points allowed. Sauce Gardner was hands down defensive rookie of the year.
So good.
And they got corners, they got linebackers, they got stuff up front. That defense going to keep you in a lot of ball games.
Mm-hmm.
You add Aaron Rodgers now, and now we're wondering, does the East get a little more interesting?
The day
Certainly.
that Aaron Rodgers holds up a number 12 gangrene jersey in a press conference, the Super Bowl becomes the expectation in New York for that
100%.
team.
Well, we got to see how he holds up the number 12 first, because he's got to talk to Broadway
Namath.
Joe.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yep, that's his number.
Coming up next, Coach Tate McGinnis joins us. His thoughts on the reported additions the Tennessee Titans have made, starting with defensive lineman Arden Key, who the Titans got a close look at on a pair of occasions in the 2022 season. We'll get Coach Mack's thoughts on that, on the moves the Titans are making, and just the pure athleticism that this team has added in a couple of different moves over the past couple of days as free agency has begun. On the other side, our weekly chat with the head coach of Titans Radio. Coach Mack joins us next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Yes!
Good news, everybody. It is supposed to heat up just a little bit today, so the sun will be out. And if you're one of those people that get hot really quick, well, you're probably going to have to turn on your AC a little. And who do you turn to? That's our friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, proud Rudd Pro partner and Mitsubishi Diamond contractor. It is getting hot earlier this year. We're expecting that to, really get turning here in April. If you haven't already booked your spring tune-up for your AC unit, now is that time. Through the month of March, which we still have a couple weeks to go, you can get your AC tuned up for just $79 and get the fall tune-up, get this, for free. Did you turn on your AC unit already a couple weeks ago? Realize it wasn't really working the way it should? Don't wait until the peak of summer to get it repaired. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offering free service calls with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs. And they really are a family kind of operated business. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, they have been in business for over 20 years. And when we say family owned and operated, we really mean it. They mean it. And their family is all involved in the business. They deliver all of the services that those bigger corporate guys offer. But guys, they do it with the delivery and friendliness of family. The Spring Hill Heating and Cooling family, responding promptly to all of your issues. They get the problems resolved quickly and accurately. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, they are the heating and cooling company taking care of all your HVAC needs. Go check them out at springhillac.com.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. And that music can only mean one thing. The most interesting man in football joins us. Coach Dave McGinnis, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Look to the folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans when you need someone who knows the health coverage game plan. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 76 years. Coach Mack, what's going on, man? How are you?
Well, good morning, Kayla, Rhett. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Coach.
Mac.
Yep.
Coach Mack, we have had
talk about.
through osmosis with Rhett in the studio. We've been sharing in a lot of your draft wisdom in the draft bunker prep that you and Rhett have been doing. So it's been a good week.
It's been a good week. You know, ever since I came here to start doing this, what is it? 6 seasons now, 7 seasons.
Came here in 2017.
Yeah, well, Rhett said, "Hey, Mac, I'd really like to learn how to do this draft," and so it's been great. I mean, I could not have a better draft partner. You know, most teams in this league have, you know, at least, you know, a draft team of 18 to 20 people. We've got 2.
Love it, Coach
Mac.
Mack.
It's great.
Would love to turn back the clock and go back to 2018 when you guys were originally watching Arden Key come out of Louisiana State University. We played the other day Mike Detilier's Titans radio analysis on Arden Key when he came out from LSU as a prospect now whom the Titans have reportedly come to terms with here in free agency starting this week. What do you remember about that guy when he began his NFL career and now at age 26 after stops with Vegas and San Francisco and Jacksonville? What are the Titans reportedly getting in him on the defensive line?
Well, it's very clear that Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, and the group up there had a very clear plan as to how to attack free agency. I mean, I think all of us, the 4 of us, we could identify the needs for this football team, you know, pretty readily when this free agency started. But you're going to have a very concise plan about it, because you not only had to start, filling in slots on a team in a very specific spots, but you also had to be able to clear a cap and do it judiciously. The worst thing that you can do when you're starting to construct a team, when you're up against the cap, is to start putting the team back together and put yourself immediately back into cap jail. And so, you know, let's start with that. They've done a really good job with that. Arden Key was somebody they'll fit into what they want to do, you know, perfectly. He was a really good rusher, and he was a high effort guy at LSU, and, you know, coming out of there. And the thing that I can go look at my report, that I go get it right now in the other room, but I can remember it. What you thought looking at him coming out was he could be a guy that could be very, very versatile in any type of subfront that you'd want to have. And plus, he was good at playing the run too. I mean, this was a high level player, you know, coming out. What he has done with his career, I think he has accentuated his career as he's moved along. He's an ideal fit for what they want to do. When this team was gin rummy and running really good on the defensive front, you know, a couple of seasons ago, they had about 7 guys they could rotate in both base and sub packages up front to be able to create pressure with 4 people. He will help do that a lot. We knew that we had to get somebody else to work into that rotation up front, just like we had to get some more offensive linemen. Arden Key was a really, really good addition at the right type of price, too.
And Mac Arden Key, 11 quarterback sacks over the last 2 years and 90 quarterback pressures. In fact, Next Gen Stats has him from weeks 14 through 18 to finish last season with 25 quarterback pressures in that span of time, second only to Nick Bosa. So the production is there. He's a speed to power guy.
Yeah, he is, and the thing that he's done too, if you watch him from the time that he came in with a lot of natural ability, but if you're a rusher coming into this league, and all you guys know that, and all of our listeners are sophisticated enough to know it's not just enough to do what you did coming out of the collegiate game to be able to rush a passer. The people that you're going to be rushing against are much better athletically. The ball's going to be coming out a lot quicker. You're going to see more sophisticated protection packages. You've got to be able to develop other things that you can do rather than what you hung your hat on when you were coming out of the collegiate game. And even if you're playing in the Southeastern Conference, you're still playing against better people week after week after week for a longer amount of time. When you come to the National Football League, he's increased his game since he's gotten into the league, which is a big plus. You bring up the stats, and it's a guy. It's not going to be. It's not. You're not talking about someone. When you talk about pass rushers, and we all know this, but just the ability to get somebody off the spot. You may not get them to the ground all the time, but getting them off the spot and disrupting timing is very, very important, as we all know. And just those pressure numbers that you bring up indicate that he can do that.
Coach Mack, a few of these guys that are coming over, and you include Aziz Al-Shir to that too, all kind of connected with the 49ers, and Rand Carthon clearly coming over from the 49ers. Is this just a matter of being able to work in that front office for so long and evaluate a lot of these guys when they were there, his comfortability with them?
Sure, Kayla. I mean, that's not a shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really not. And look, coming out, you talk about the linebacker coming out of Florida Atlantic. I mean, he was a priority free agent for them coming out. There's a reason that he was at Florida Atlantic, and then all of a sudden, he's a priority free agent. Because that was Rand Carthon's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with Rand for 5 years. I know how he works. I've sat there and watched a lot of tape with him, and we had to try to rebuild something that was really, really, a dumpster fire when we took that thing over in St. Louis. So, absolutely, and familiarity is important for two things. First of all, you got the person you're familiar with, Kayla, has to be able to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's number one. But number two is then you've got more of an insight, and you guys have been around Rand long enough to know that if he's around a player and is involved with a player, he's going to know that player. So there's going to be a relationship there that it gives you a little bit of a one-up once you start getting into the free agency mode with the guys that you're going to be involved with. So absolutely, yes, that should be no shock at all.
And when you look at what they're starting to do with the offensive line, free agency-wise, at least, you bring over Andre Dillard, left tackle from Philadelphia, and then another one of those Niners players, right guard Daniel Brunskill. What do you think about how the line is shaping up, and how much more do you feel like they'll be involved, though, with the draft early on and bringing someone in?
Well, got you a Wazoo guy.
I know.
I mean, you got to be very, very happy with bringing somebody in from the Palouse.
I was, Coach.
Yeah, I know you were. But this guy, and again, Red asked, Will asked about Arden Key coming out of college. I remember, doing the tackle coming out. And the thing about it is, he played in that Mike Leach offense up there, which was the air raid offense. He was the backside protector there for Gardner Minshew during his senior year, but he was a left tackle there all the time. And the book on him was, because when you're playing in that air raid offense, you're in a 2-point stance and you're not doing a lot of drive blocking, but he had really, really good feet. And you start looking at his combine numbers, he was a good athlete and is a good athlete. And that doesn't surprise me at all, that knowing what we needed here at the Titans, starting this, we knew the offensive line had to be attacked. And they're very specifically attacking people, for positions. And I think what he's done now, you all of a sudden, when you came into this thing, looking at you basically had one offensive lineman, or you can count Brewer as two, that you had from last year. Now, all of a sudden, you can see where you're starting to fit the pieces together. And they've done it in a manner that, number one, they filled spots of need. Number two, they've still remained very, very diligent with this cap, because it's not only about the cap this year; it's about the cap moving forward. That they're being very, very smart with that.
getting players to fill in. The other thing is they've still given themselves a lot of latitude with the draft. And that, to me, is something that's very, very important. They've done a lot of maneuvering right now without pigeonholing themselves.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the draft for a second, Matt, because that's what you and I are involved in. Tulane has their pro day today, and guess who the Titans are meeting with prior to that pro day?
Rhett, you're so happy.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
You're so happy. I mean, it was. And you jumped on that guy early when we were down there at the Senior Bowl, and for good reason. For very good reason. And so clearly, the running back group this year, I think there's two guys that are right at the top. In Bijan and in Gibbs, and then there's some other really good players that are going to be throughout the middle of the draft that we will be involved with. Just as far as during as the draft unwinds, that people are going to see. Here's what I really believe. I really believe that once the run starts on running back, it's going to be a pretty lengthy run, and there will be a time on the second day where the run will start on these running backs. And your guy from Tulane is going to be at the top of it.
Tajay Spears, 8 straight 100-yard games to finish his career, 4 touchdowns, and torched the Southern Cal Trojans in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
That we saw him make moves in Mobile. That dude is shifty.
No, he's got some he's got some juju to him. I mean, there's just nothing. He does. He's got that to him, and plus, he was very consistent. And then you start watching his tape, but be real honest, Rhett. I know you're honest with the rest of us, but be real honest with our listeners. You got a man crush on him.
Oh, there's no question. If you can't hear the giddiness in my voice, then you're tone deaf. Hey, so Georgia has its pro day yesterday.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter became the headline for the wrong reason. He added 9 pounds of weight in 2 weeks from the time we saw him at the Combine. He was unable to finish his drills. In fact, he didn't even do all the drills and wasn't going to begin with, wasn't going to run a 40. That's a top-tier talent that, unfortunately for him, may end up sliding now because he's in a bad spot.
Well, he's not helping himself any, is he?
No.
I mean, he's just not helping himself any, but you still have got to forfeit as everybody does in the draft. Look, it only takes one team, to overlook that and say,
right.
We can get it straightened out, because when you go to the tape, let's stay away from all of that stuff to begin with, which you cannot when you're evaluating somebody. It has to be brought into it clearly. But when you look at the tape, I mean, this is a dominant player. Now it's going to be up to each individual organization to say, how much of this are we willing to look at and say, hopefully we can get it fixed and get it flipped. But he's the first guy that's got to get it flipped. So no, it has not been trending in the right direction for him. But, and I say this with a but, knowing that, I've done this draft for 37 years, sooner or later, if he does keep sliding, somebody's going to stop that slide pretty quick just because of the talent.
Coach Mack, just as far as pro days in general, when you are making a draft board and finishing up your evaluation process of a lot of these players, what specifically do you learn the most from a kid's pro day that you maybe didn't know about them through the Combine or through the Senior Bowl? Where does that fit in the process for you when you're looking at prospects?
See, the pro day is much more than just watching them work with drills. I mean, see, at a pro day, you can go in early. I mean, I've been through a few pro days in my career. You go in early. You can set up a dinner with them. You can meet with them. You can meet with whoever, because most of the time when you go to those workouts, you've got their parents there. It's become a production. But what you try to do is see, now you have met with some of these guys at the Senior Bowl. You've met with guys at the Combine, a lot of them now. And so when you go to the pro day, and when you're planning the pro days that you go to, you may send different people to go talk to certain players that maybe didn't talk to them, at the Senior Bowl, or maybe didn't talk to them at the combine, but your plan of attack at a pro day is much different, because now you're starting to narrow in on the players that you want to look at. And it's not just, you don't just go to watch them work out. You can take them to dinner the night before. You can meet with them, after the workout. Take them into a classroom with a whiteboard right there on campus. All these places have them now. I mean, so it's much more than just watching them work out. And it's another part of the process, but you have to strategically plan out how you want to send your people out, and also what you want to glean from these guys, and from this and from these types of things. Then you decide the 30 visits that you want to bring in. So it's all a progressive program that you work on when you're talking about going into pro days. You don't just say, hey, who wants to get on the plane and let's just go watch some players. There's a plan to it. And so, we always used to strategically, all the places that I've been, decide who was going where, what you wanted to find out, and also, try to dovetail it in with some of the information that you already had from the previous meetings you'd already had with these guys.
Coach Tate McGinnis, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Coach Mack, appreciate the time as always, and best of luck to the Frogs, by the way, against Arizona State in the first round of the NCAA Tournament.
Yeah.
That feels like the Coach Mack Bowl between two teams that you're pretty familiar with.
Well, the Frogs, Arizona State won the play-in game.
That's right.
Yep.
Frog.
That's what I'm saying. Frog all day,
Nothing
Coach.
else needs to be said. Perfect. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, guys, appreciate it. See you.
Yes, sir. There's Coach Tate McGinnis with us this morning.
I hate the Sun Devils.
Couple of teams that Coach Mack knows very well, from being out in Arizona, and
Yes,
then
he
obviously
does.
Frog.
That's
wait,
right.
but it's not the what frogs that whatchamacallit call
Not
them?
the Froghorns.
Frog.
Not the Froghorns. Not the frog. The Froghorns and the Tar Holes.
That's
coming
disrespectful.
up this weekend.
In the bracket no one asked for.
The world
Exactly.
We'll get to those running back signings, free agency, some interesting ones yesterday coming up. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Frog.
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation. And if you've been noticing your energy costs have been rising, well, nationwide, they're up 14%. And it's not too late to fix your high energy bills, all while getting off-season prices from Window Nation. Beat the rush with 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Plus, pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. That's 2 years of paying nothing. Simply call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. You save up to 30% on your heating bills by switching to Window Nation windows, and that's because 43% of your utility bills is heating costs. You can increase the value of your home by up to $12,000, and this is the best thing about it, too. The average installer has over 16 years of experience with over 20,000 windows installed. I can't stress this enough. If you buy 2, you'll get 2 windows free on any style from Window Nation. Plus, pay nothing with no interest until 2025. Go online at windownation.com or call them at 866-90-NATION.
Watch the madness tip off with 104.5 The Zone. Today, Party Foul, Murfreesboro. Tomorrow, Party Foul, Cool Springs. Starting at 10 a.m. with the Buck Rising Show. Listen all week for your chance to win a reserve table and $50 Party Foul gift card to join us, which means basically listen today. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com.
And today it's the Lucas Panzica Show with Jonathan Schaefer.
Awesome.
Featuring Buck Rising. Woo! This is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Rhett Bryan. Go get some cheerwine, some beignets, some hot chicken, and thank us later. And watch some college basketball. Good early slate of games today. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's annoying when the first day of March Madness will start, and it's it's Texas Southern against Kansas, and it's like a 40-point game to start off the tournament. Some good ones early today, including Furman and Virginia, which is a popular upset pick.
Yep.
Coming up as the first window game at 11:40 this morning. We've been teasing it throughout the second hour this morning that a lot of running back deals got done last night. Interested to see Hard Knocks favorite and former Detroit Lion Jamal Williams land with the New Orleans Saints on a 3-year deal worth $12 million. I thought that one was particularly interesting last night.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, is part of that because of the Alvin Kamara stuff and the other is depth or, whatever. Nice player. And, I don't know whether he wanted to stay in Detroit or not because I feel like they're moving towards something good there. But New Orleans did some really interesting things. But this was one of those picks that, and I think I saw where did Jameis Winston come back at a reduced deal to be the backup for Derek Carr. So, I mean, they're working on it. But, I like that move there. But, God, there was a lot of running back moves last night.
Yeah.
There were. Alexander Madison hit free agency this week, but will remain in Minnesota, according to Tom Pelissero of NFL Media, saying that he has a 2-year deal worth as much as $8 million with $6.3 million guaranteed. Miles Sanders with a 4-year deal to go to the Carolina Panthers. What in the world are the Panthers doing?
Not quite sure.
They got rid of Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore to then sign Miles Sanders, trade for the number 1 overall pick, and lose a bunch of draft capital. But they're signing players to kind of win now. I mean, I guess in the NFC South, you only need about 7 wins to win now. So I guess that's why.
That's true.
I mean, legitimately, I think that's why they are going all in right now.
Yeah, because in Tampa, you have Baker Mayfield on a 1-year deal to go with Kyle Trask. And in Atlanta, it's Desmond Ridder, who they say is the guy. And let's see, who is it that they signed as the backup?
Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke.
Thank you. And then we just named the New Orleans quarterback. So, I mean, you may have something there.
And you have Andy Dalton joining the Panthers as a backup.
Andy Dalton.
He's still alive and ticking.
Nice guy,
Red
Andy
Rifle.
But in Carolina, too, they have Deontay Foreman, who has been spectacular, by the way, since leaving the Titans.
Is he under contract there?
I think he's a free agent.
I think
that was a
agent.
1-year deal.
Yeah,
for
so
him.
I was wondering, are they going to bring him back? Because he's been outstanding. I mean, he led them in, obviously, rushing last year, but he's been a solid piece for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or would the Titans want to bring him back?
Ooh.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But that guy's going to get paid more than what the Titans are likely willing to pay for a second running back who has a skill set similar to Hassan Haskins at that point. Because Hassan Haskins more the between the tackles Henry spellback, more so like Foreman is. I think if the Titans are looking for a running back, it's going to be like Rhett's draft crutch from the angry wave of Tulane.
Tajay Spears.
That's right.
Which is not a bad thing.
A little bit more news this morning from Adam Schefter. The Seattle Seahawks will host former Steelers first-round pick linebacker Devin Bush and Giants free agent safety Julian Love on visits today. They will also host former Titans defensive back Lonnie Johnson as well for a visit, a guy that can play corner and safety and was a nickel for the Titans this past year when he was healthy. Was kind of in and out of the lineup a little bit, but Devin Bush would be Good little addition.
Look at the Seahawks up there.
Making
Starting to
moves.
flex a little after they get their quarterback.
Making moves. So, interesting stuff there. And coming up next, we continue to reset the NFL headlines. Get you the latest update on a pro day gone wrong. And Jalen Carter at 323 pounds. What scouts and coaches are saying about his pro day at the University of Georgia. Eytan Shander at 8:20. Much more still to come at halftime this morning of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The new league year has officially started in the NFL. Coinciding with that, the Titans announced they have assigned second-round tenders on restricted free agents Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart. Also tendered exclusive rights free agent Naquan Jones. The Cincinnati Bengals are signing four-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. to a 4-year deal worth $64 million, including $43.5 million guaranteed. Fairleigh Dickinson and Arizona State both won their first 4 contests last night. The NCAA Tournament begins in earnest today. Our game coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, begins at 11 o'clock. In the East region, 4th-seeded Tennessee takes on 13th-seeded Louisiana. Tip-off set for approximately 8:40. Vol Network coverage begins at 8. To the NBA, the Heat defeated the Grizzlies 138-119. NHL Blackhawks at Predators tonight at the Stone. 7 o'clock will be the face-off for that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show getting rolling on a Thursday morning. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Do you like money? Because money's pretty great. Eytan Shander makes you some money coming up in 20 minutes. Oddshopper.com, one of our favorites. One of our finest.
That man his money.
That's right.
Money.
Joins us in 20 minutes to discuss March Madness from a numbers perspective with Rhett Bryan filling in for Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer.
Yes, sir, she is the bee's knees, Kayla. And she covers your favorite teams, Kayla. Let her ease your worried mind.
There's Robert Walsh, the musical stylings of Bert.
Bert.
Introducing us.
Hockenson.
My name is Will Bowling.
His name is Will Bowling.
Cannot wait to talk some March Madness coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll hit the NFL headlines. I just went through a break where I bet on every 11 seed on the money line to win this weekend.
Yes, you did.
Every single 11 seed.
Well, that's what you were doing. The conversation that was going on was spectacular.
A little bit different. If you bet every 11 seed since 2004 in the NCAA tournament, you would be up 36 units right now. Essentially, if you bet $10, if $10 is a unit,
36 units. This sounds like you're in a card game with the mob bosses. You're in for $36 as a ziti, okay?
Right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay up, but
He's
we're
a
gonna.
good boy.
Yeah,
He's a good
listen.
boy.
Boxes of ziti. Stop playing cards, okay?
I would love for Rhett to just do an hour of this show as like a Italian mobster.
Hey, Don, we're gonna talk Titan Smooths. Hey, Don.
Aaron Brewer is a good boy.
What are you gonna do?
$2 stick.
And he's
Take care of the
got a
thing.
second round tender.
He does has a tender. You gotta take the tender.
Take it.
Tier Tart too.
He's not a tender steak, though.
No,
He's tougher than a $2.
$2.
Oh, goodness. No, if you take, so basically a unit being $10, just ballpark. If you would have bet $10 on every 11 seed to win since 2004, you would be up $360 since 2004 betting the NCAA tournament.
Dang.
How about that?
It's pretty
36 units.
Money.
36 boxes of ziti. What are you gonna do?
What I'm going to do is throw like $5 on every 12 seed, 13 seed, 14 seed, and 15 seed.
There he goes.
Okay.
And you end up by the end of the tournament. It's been a crazy year for like top teams have been losing all year.
This is true.
More first and second ranked teams and in the AP poll have lost this season more so than any other year in the history of the AP poll in college basketball.
What makes it fun?
So every year we like to say cliches that happen every single year of like, oh, this is going to be the craziest tournament yet. I think it actually might apply this year.
Well, they call it March Madness for a reason.
That's right.
Come on.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Barnes. Santiago. He's a good boy. My boy Zakai. Anyway, 615-737-1045, our number. Tennessee would be heading to New York if they win 2 games this weekend, too. Up to the Garden.
So that's okay.
Anyway,
the Garden, huh?
I'm not great at an Italian accent. That's not one of my finest.
Keep it at your
We'll bring you
Harry
along.
Carey.
I'm not really an accent guy, other than Harry Carey.
I am honored to be here on
There
the
we go.
day of your daughter's wedding, and may her first child be a very masculine child.
Hi! Tennessee, Louisiana.
Luca Brazzi.
I like it.
Coming to see Don Corleone.
Not to be confused with Luca Panzica.
Yes, that too.
That you also have the poll open for.
Yeah,
him,
absolutely.
That's
Sure.
That's one of my. That actually probably is my favorite.
That's actually my favorite too. That's my favorite one.
I love it. Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart, we mentioned. Second round tenders as restricted free agents. And the caveat to that is these players can negotiate with any club through April the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
If they sign an offer sheet with a new club, the Titans can match the offer and retain the player, or the Titans can decline matching the offer and receive a second-round pick in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
After April 21st, the player's negotiating rights revert exclusively to the Titans.
Okay.
Second-round tenders for Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart, and Naquan Jones was tendered as an exclusive rights free agent himself.
And see, that makes sense on all 3 cases because Aaron Brewer has value on this offensive line, especially if they do what I think they might do, and that's move him to center.
Yes.
Which I think he's probably a little better suited for. And you know, he's been in your system. He knows your stuff, and he can certainly help you there. And Tier Tart is a no-brainer. And Naquan Jones is starting to emerge in depth on that defensive line. So all of those moves I get. I was a little surprised by Nick Westbrook-Akine, no tender on him.
So he's going to shop.
He's going to shop, and he might get something, and then he might hang out there for a while, and you bring him back. We're going to have to see what happens. But those were the announcements at 3 o'clock yesterday when the window opened for the new fiscal year as free agency officially busted open. We haven't seen any official word from the team yet on the reported signings of all the gentlemen we've been speaking about for the last couple of days. I anticipate that'll be probably this afternoon or Friday afternoon officially. They usually send out a press release in the 3 o'clock window. So I would think, because there's I's and T's getting crossed and dotted, and there's physicals and, those things. And I'm sure they're probably working on all that stuff.
With the NWI thing, real quick, is that more, do you think, of the Titans just being like, okay, they're going in a different direction, we're fine to let you shop? Or is that NWI saying, look, I've done enough in this offense to put something on tape? Because he has had to be a second, third guy at times, right?
You go look at that game in Houston.
Yes.
Where, Ryan Tannehill is running for his life and then connects, I think it's a 17, 18-yard play. There's just one example of he can help you.
Right.
I think, obviously the tender decision comes from the Titans on this. So I don't know if it's just a way to, start looking at how this wide receiver group is going to be formed.
Sure.
But you give him an opportunity to go find something for himself if he so, wants to. And obviously he wants to play. He's a good guy. And, big, long receiver.
And versatile. He has shown that.
Oh, yeah.
NFL Network's Tom Pelissero writing this morning that the Cardinals officially released retired defensive end J.J. Watt and guard Rodney Hudson with post-June 1st designations for cap purposes. He did mention in the end of this tweet, said others cut after 4 p.m. Eastern Wednesday included Jadeveon Clowney, Ezekiel Elliott, Matt Ryan, Bobby Wagner, Leonard Fournette, Kenny Golladay, and he did mention Bud Dupree.
Okay.
As being cut after 4 p.m. yesterday. We were given no official word on that.
And that's another thing we're waiting for to see what's happening there.
Sure. Exactly.
That's what's saying in the zone chat right now.
Yep. Yeah.
Jameson TV says, why no news on Bud yet? Not sure what the answer to that is, but we will see clarity on that today or tomorrow, I would think.
Yeah. So Jalen Carter weighed in at 323 pounds on Wednesday.
When I read that on the show yesterday, I'm like,
yeah,
y'all, that's 9 pounds in 2 weeks. That's not like adding bulk for play strength.
No, it's not.
And that was Reese's Senior Bowl executive director, Jim Nagy, who tweeted that out, friend of the show, who tweeted that out at the beginning of his pro day yesterday. So we saw that, reacted to it in real time, and just kind of made the note of, that's interesting. We'll see if anything comes of that. Well, what came of it is he could barely finish his drills, position drills at his pro day. Jalen Carter did not participate in any athletic testing, but did take part in positional drills, according to reports. Sherry Burris of NFL Network was there, said team personnel evaluators told her that his day was a mixed bag, with some indicating he struggled toward the end of his workout. Man, with the off-the-field stuff and now the issues that are starting to happen on the field with Jalen Carter, I really think that he might really and truly fall out of the top 10.
He may fall further than that. I mean, I don't know where, but I mean, Kayla, this is a trend in the wrong direction, because we're talking about 2 weeks have passed since that day in Indianapolis where the news came out just moments before he was supposed to go speak at the podium with all the other defensive line prospects, and ended up having to go back to Georgia, went in, was booked, and released. 2 weeks to the day, his pro day's here. He's 9 pounds further in the wrong part of the scale, and was noted early in that report for Georgia's pro day yesterday. He wasn't going to participate in all the drills.
Right.
No 40 time, none of that. Now we understand why.
Yeah.
And that's everybody in the world was there to see the pro day, because Broderick Jones is, I mean, there's all these top prospects. Yeah, Nolan Smith. I mean, you start running down the list. And so all of that, and still this is what has happened, and he's in a bad space.
Yeah.
He really is.
And I'm going to take this a little serious, because I think with these young men, and I'm saying young men because they are, 20, 21, 22. These are young men who are being handed a lot at one time. And with this specific incident, because he's gone through a death of a teammate, and he was not directly involved, but reports are that he had some involvement in the speeding part of it.
Allegedly, yes.
You're going through the process of getting the next part of your career launched. You're the hottest, prospect out there. Imagine all of this coming to you at one time and trying to deal with it. And I don't know what's around him, but I'm going to say this. I sure hope somebody is around him, or there is some sort of a family around him to help guide him through this, because this is a lot to handle for a young man who seems a little unstable right now in terms of what he's gone through. And I think a lot of that has to do with what's going on with coming 9 pounds over, those types of things. And that makes it really hard for a team to bet on you, because once you get that bag, Rhett, Will, what do you think, it's going to disappear?
No, because if he's clearly dealing with some things mentally, is what you're describing, and the 9 pounds difference in 2 weeks says to me he's stress eating, which is something I'm guilty of. But when you get all that money, the bag, as you call it, and that is true, everything has changed, and people who have known you for a long time are asking for things or whatever. Plus, if you're in a space where you're trying to fill a void because you've lost a teammate and another person in the training staff at Georgia and that whole deal, well, you've got money now to just buy and do things to try to fill a void, and then you're going to put yourself in a financial spot that you may not be able to get out of.
Coming up next, Eytan Shander of oddshopper.com joins the conversation. We'll talk March Madness with him, get a look at Tennessee's future path in the East region. Some good value, according to some, on the Vols. I'm interested to ask Eytan, does a coach's history in the tournament keep you from betting against a team in the tournament?
Whoa.
How much of this do you watch in a vacuum? How much of the regular season Rick vibes have a cloud hang over Tennessee?
RRV? RSRV?
Eytan Shander joins us coming up next. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Nathaniel!
RSRV?
Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. When was the last time you had your air ducts cleaned? Well, with allergy season starting, now is the perfect time to ensure that you have the best air quality possible. If you don't know the last time your air ducts were cleaned, or maybe you're noticing, there's a little bit more dust than usual around the house and around your home, then having your air ducts cleaned may be worth it for your family and for your home. So get 10% off your next duct cleaning with Lee Company by calling 615-567-1000 or going online to leecompany.com/promotions. And do what I do. Trust the folks who are involved in our communities here in Middle Tennessee and Kentucky and Alabama as well. They've been here for nearly 80 years, and they're ready to help you at a moment's notice because they're open 24/7. You've seen the Lee Company vans driving around Middle Tennessee. So with allergy season starting, now is the perfect time to make sure that you've got the best air quality possible. And call Lee Company to get 10% off your next duct cleaning. 615-567-1000. They're online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Simone, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone, with Rhett Bryan filling in for Ramon Foster. Kayla Anderson, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, ruining my joy this morning, as always. I'm Will Bowling. Not as always. You don't always ruin my joy, but when I get to talk sports betting and making money.
Dude, what is wrong with you this morning?
I'm happy for No,
Come on.
Schaefer's the one talking in my ear this time.
Oh, I got really high.
You have been in a rut this morning.
No,
come on, dude.
The rut now
Get your tires out of the mud.
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about making money in March Madness.
Get your tires out of the mud.
And Jonathan Schaefer talks in my ear and goes, "You're way too happy to be doing this segment right now."
That is not what I said.
That's what you said.
That's not what I said.
It's like, I've got to stay up late and watch the Vols, and this is going to be the end of their run.
What I said was, you look very happy. Where's your hands right now? That's what I said.
Hands up.
Will.
I'm innocent.
Will.
We go to the phones.
Man.
Eytan Shander always has my back. Oddshopper.com, who joins us this morning. Eytan not only has my back, he has my my bank account a couple of units up based on the tweets that he sends out. What's going on, Eytan?
I have no idea what I just walked into, but I appreciate the time, as always.
I feel like that always applies to any time that anyone comes on this show, for sure.
Copy and paste. Yep.
Eytan, where are you finding value in the first round today? Just kind of where do you begin to look at today's games and anything you like or don't like specifically?
Yeah, I think we can just look around if you want to just start. I know that we have games starting in, a couple of hours.
Right.
And Maryland is right there for me. I think a lot of people are looking at this game from a value standpoint as very close to a pick'em, from the size advantage maybe being diminished a little bit from West Virginia's side, but it's 3 points, 125 on the money line. And I think Maryland, especially if you're at one of these books that a lot of times on March Madness we'll see this where you'll get these boosts, hey, 25%, 50% prop, what have you. Maryland with the spread is a lot of 8-9s when you look at the tournament. But specifically today, I really like Maryland just out of the gate to win that game outright. I'm not going to bet them outright. I'm more just going to bet them to cover the spread at 2.5 or 3. So clearly if you can get 3, do that. I think my favorite upset right now, though, across the board, one that I did bet both on the spread and the money line, is the great city of Charleston knocking off San Diego State.
I like it.
You guys want to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so I love this squad. Charleston is a tough team. They score a ton, a bleep amount of points, right? Like they just blink and they score. Not Alabama, but they score a lot of points, right? But they're Charleston, the small school, when you look at the rest of this tournament clearly, and they're not going to get a bigger benefit even though they've won over 30 games. All 5 of their kids are averaging right around double digits, close to it, and they can get scoring in so many different areas. San Diego State is a good basketball team. I don't want to diminish what they're doing by any means, but they rely so heavily on, or at least more so on one kid in Bradley than Charleston does. Here's another thing. I don't know if this was a cruel joke, if this was an oversight, or if this was to try to advance Charleston, but San Diego State is playing this game in Orlando, Florida. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to ignore that we're talking about college-age kids who have to take this trip. I don't care how advanced travel is from now back to Ramones Day and all, but, hey, you still have a travel impact, right? You know, back when they had the propeller planes that you had to do when he was on the Vols trips. But I'm just saying in general, right, San Diego State is live for an upset. I think Charleston can score. I like them in the first half. I like them outright, and I'll definitely take the 5.5.
All right. Oh, you want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to ask you about 12 seeds, 8-4 versus 5 seeds in the past 3 tournaments. Anyone you like here, Eytan?
Yeah, I think this is where it gets interesting. The 10. Well, Charleston is the 12 for sure, so I like them absolutely. And then when you look at the other ones, it's hard because I think Earl Roberts. This is where I'm going a little back and forth, Kel. So maybe you can help me out on this as well. But I want to bet Oral Roberts.
Yep.
I want to take 6 points with Oral Roberts. I want to take them in the first half because I think the first half and the 2 days, Thursday and Friday, from just an overall betting strategy, first halves on dogs are live because favorites, especially as you get wider in the gap of seeds, take a little bit. Oh, okay, yeah, we're a 3 seed, we're a 2 seed, we're the cruise. And then, they wake up a little bit. It's rare, but you will see every now and again a team put another team out, but that's the nature of betting. Nothing is proof positive. I just feel like so many people hate Duke that this is like now a public manifestation, right, of, Duke is still a hated – even though Coach K is gone and, all that's gone, there's still this public sentiment of wanting them out of the tournament.
Right.
So that's keeping me from jumping on Oral Roberts. I also think Duke is pretty fortunate of a spot here because once they get through this first round, they're in a pretty decent path as far as compared to the other 5 seeds. So, yeah, I look at this and I think right now Oral Roberts would be intriguing. But if I'm going to bet that game, I'm probably just going to bet Oral Roberts in the first half.
Okay.
Because I do think Duke ultimately pulls away.
So you're punishing them just a little because Duke thinks everybody hates them. I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of that nature, right? Like the Cowboys. You just have these public teams that it's love-hate, right? And I think that's what it is where we've seen this for so long in the tournament where Duke has been public enemy number 1 for whatever. Oh, I hate Krzyzewski. I mean, a lot of it is surface nonsense, right? Like, I hate the way that guy looks, or, Wojciechowski jumping and slamming on the ground back in the day, right? It was all this nonsense that was piled up, but people found reasons, I think, to hate Duke. So there is, I think, when you get to a betting standpoint, there's this public sentiment that's overwhelming of, you've got a 5-12. You've also got a team in Duke who a lot of people want to see knocked out. That's going to put, I would imagine, as we get closer to this game, that's going to keep putting money on the 12 seed. So for me, I want to stay away only because those casinos aren't built to the sky because we all win every night.
And I'm guessing you're going to say a team down here in the South, but which team has, the best betting value to win it all in this field?
It's Tennessee. I think with the seeding that we look at, that bracket, they're going to battle Purdue. And like everybody, you're going to have to deal with the 7'4" kid who's got some skill set, and it's tough. It is a tough matchup. But I think Tennessee is going to be battle tested. It's not going to be easy. There's already drama surrounding, right, this first round matchup as far as who's playing on the other side and all. It's not just going to be an easy run for Tennessee. Duke's going to get past, I believe, Oral Roberts, and then you start to see, how this bracket really matriculates. I don't think there's going to be any shock, really. 8-9, Memphis, FAU, you can pretty much toss that up. Purdue, I like. They roll. But if Purdue loses, it's going to be the only time that I think Purdue loses would be going up against Tennessee. And then you just have to get through the rest of that bracket. I've seen Marquette play. They're sharpshooters. They can get hot. They can score. They're like street putters in golf where they can just go on these runs and you're just like, what can you do? But they're also beatable in stretches. And I think you can slow them down at times and you can force some turnovers and just take advantage of the lack of scoring there. Kansas State and Kentucky's a little banged up, right? Kansas State, I don't think really scares me if it gets to that point for Tennessee. So coming out of that, look, once you get to the Final Four, you've made it. But I would look at odds for Tennessee to make it to the Final Four, and I would look at odds right now just to see UT making it to the championship.
Woo. Will is happy.
You're giving me hope, Eytan.
I'll rip Nashville.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Eytan, you're giving me hope, and I was going to ask this anyway, too, but how much does a coach's history in the tournament dictate your strategy with the NCAA tournament? Because here the conversation is about, look, Rick Barnes has only made the second weekend once when he's been at Tennessee, but you kind of have to view these things in a vacuum from year to year as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you look at storyline, you look at history. There are some obvious things like Bill Self missing the Big 12 and being back and a team rallying. But there's also what you mentioned, which is a guy usually doesn't stay in a spot, not as far as physically, but without getting over that hump forever. I mean, there's going to be a time in which the right team, the right group of kids, the right strategy, if it's altered, if it's changed from years before, Texas, what have you. So, yeah, I wouldn't look at that as a deterrent from like, I'm betting against them. I think inexperience is something that you have to factor in. And inexperience goes both ways, right? Like John Calipari with 5 kids who have never been in the tournament before doesn't even out. At some point, he can't make a play. At some point, he can't be on the floor and say, this is the decision that you have to make. Now, we're not dealing with that to that extent, but I'm just saying that's where I would look at from a coaching standpoint. It's always going to help you. A guy who is successful, a guy who has been there throughout, who has coached, who has won, it's always going to help you wherever you look. Even our old pal Bruce Pearl, right, as far as what he's been able to do. Kelvin Sampson is a guy that you look at and think, all right, well, especially after a loss and, coming out in the first game of the tournament, you start to look at guys in their history. So I'll bring it right back to Rick Barnes. First 2 rounds, I'm attacking his teams. I'm betting his team because I know gets a little deeper. Okay, let's look at the matchup. Let's look at the spread. Let's look at where the money is. But, yeah, play what you know to your favor. Veteran kids, anybody who's been to the tournament before, plus a coach who has been out, at least out of the second round, those are the teams you want to super identify with value, especially if they're underdogs in the first 2 rounds.
Eytan Shander, our guest on Shopper.com this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Okay, Eytan, I'm wearing my Gonzaga sweatshirt today. I am a Washington State grad, obviously, but, Zags have been in my hometown. I've been watching them since I was a kid. And, this is the year they're actually not talked about as much. Like, you put any money on the Zags?
Yeah, I think Gonzaga has an interesting story with them, right? Because for a while they were flying under the radar. And then it was kind of like, all right, it's like the Jokic version of college, where it's like, all right, you're getting all these praises, you're winning all these games, but are you going to do anything with it? And now you see the bar has clearly been raised as a result of it. I'm not worried about Grand Canyon, okay? First and foremost, let's get that out of the way. Yep. They're going to be fine. But I really like Gonzaga is now as a 3 seed in this tournament. I like that they're flying under the radar. Okay. They've beaten, St. Mary's is a big win, Kentucky, Xavier. These are big wins that you look at. I mean, look, the Baylor loss was close. Purdue is a tough out in general, and I don't even know when that Tennessee game mattered, right? So you look at overall, this is a body of work for Gonzaga that I think better reflects a team that's probably a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. Maybe even, a higher 2 seed. But the nature of how the season's played out and whatnot, that they're in this 3 seed. So it's good. I like this spot. Now, as far as getting out of the bracket, it's going to be a little more difficult. Yeah. I think you look at TCU, Arizona State. I wouldn't be shocked Arizona State has some momentum. So to see the Zags all of a sudden in the Sweet 16 blink and, they're in the Sweet 16 because they knock off Grand Canyon and then what would be like Northwestern. No, so they'd have TCU or Arizona State. I think they'd knock off Arizona State. And then really it's UCLA that you have to worry about, right? So that's the game in the Sweet 16 that you have to worry about. I think they're going to be, honestly, enough of an underdog where that would be a smart play to bet them.
Ooh.
They'd match up enough. I'm thinking they get maybe 3.5, 4 points over a full possession. That's enough for me. UCLA is a darling when it comes to the betting public.
Oh, so. Yeah.
Big time.
Exactly.
I saw a stat this morning that if you had bet every 11 seed on the money line since 2004, you would be up 36 units betting the NCAA tournament. Is it feasible to just bet on every 11 seed or bet on every 12 seed and just trust that, the market by the end of it, you might lose 2/3 of your bets but still make a little bit of money?
Yeah, I think whenever you see a trend like that, and how long was that, Will, again?
Since 2004.
Right, so that's 19 years, coming on 20 years, right? There are going to be years in which you don't make money. In fact, there are going to be years in which you look over and say, why am I doing this? What did I gain from this? I just went through an entire first round of a tournament and lost everything because there are 11 seeds, right? Because they don't always win. But if you're in it for the long haul, and the strategy is, I'm going to do this for the next 5 years. I'm going to do this for the next 5 tournaments, because it's only one time. You only get one shot with it, Thursday, Friday, right? That's what I think is interesting. And absolutely, what I would do is I would chart and target 11 seeds 10 seeds and 12 seeds.
Okay.
Penn State, love Penn State as a 10 seed against Texas A&M. And what we know, and look, you three, you all here, for Shafe, everybody in that region knows, because you deal with it every year, about the insanity of the college football selection committee and the insanity that goes in the process and what have you. And even with the BCS and everything that comes with it, it's and moving beyond to the playoffs, expansion, all of that, it's still madness. All of that is madness. But they understand what they're doing to the extent in college basketball of putting the right teams in the right seed. That's why I think when you see these 10s, these 11s, these 12s, they're there for a reason. They're not slotted as 14s. They're not slotted as 9s. They're there for a reason. Penn State's a 10, not a 12 or a 13 for a reason. So I like Penn State as a 10, and I would do that. Yeah, do that for the next 5 years, and let's talk about it.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Sold. Eytan Shander, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, making you a little bit of money at Shander Show, where you can follow him on Twitter. Eytan, man, we appreciate the time as always.
Thanks, Eytan.
Oh, likewise. Go Charleston. All right, that's all I need today, and I'm a happy man.
Love it. There's Eytan Shander with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. College of Charleston, the pick.
Yeah,
Charleston, a beautiful city.
it is.
I'm happy to endorse College of Charleston over San Diego State, and love a little Ramon Foster age shot as well.
Did he lift your spirits? Because I sure hope so. You were in the ditch. I hope you're out of the ditch. As Kayla said, get your wheels out of the mud.
Later in the show, I'll show you on the doll where Tennessee basketball is.
Whoa, hey, easy.
Coming up next, one trend that was once again showcased last night in the first four that's not going to make Vanderbilt fans happy. Coming up on the other side, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Time is running out. Fill out that bracket. Register today for 104.5 The Zone's $1 Million Bracket Challenge, sponsored by Party Foul, for a chance to win $1 million. It's a local contest. Register today. Register now. 1045thezone.com.
And if you're picking a certain team from a certain hometown of a certain Kayla Anderson, make sure you pronounce it right. On Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 1045 The Zone.
Gonzaga?
That is what Joe Hunk has to say in a spot here on 1045 The Zone.
That is demerit.
What was
Gonzaga?
that? Gonzaga.
Gonzaga?
What is Gonzaga?
Gonzaga?
Zaga. It's a Zags. It's Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga?
Unbelievable from Joe Hunk of 3HL.
Man, he knew I was like from Spokane, right? I hope he didn't call it Spokane.
What is it with people? All you do is listen to what folks, and here's the other thing. Ask if you're not sure.
Gonzaga?
Because I know people that say Spokane. I'm like, no, whoa. It's Spokane.
Thank
like,
you,
well,
Rhett.
it has an E on it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm telling you that's what they call it. And look, there's regional dialect everywhere. Give you an example. There's a town here in Tennessee that looks like Santa Fe, like the Santa Fe rail line or whatever. It's Santa Fe.
There it is.
In that town. You don't say Santa Fe. Those are fighting words.
Yeah.
If you do, like
it's not
we
Elizabeth
don't say,
Town.
And we don't say down here at Lafayette Street, it's
Lafayette
Street.
You're dang right.
So, with that, let's do this correctly. And listen, I'm going to get on soapbox for just a second.
Please do.
Here he goes.
If you're going to pronounce someone's name, figure out what it is. And do you like being called the wrong name? No one does.
Not at all.
Do a
Kyla?
little
No.
homework and figure it out.
Gonzaga?
Listen, with a name like Rhett, it's not common. It's old school.
True.
My mother named me after Rhett Butler, the character in Gone with the Wind. She loved that novel.
Okay.
And there's just not a lot of us. Like Jim Wyatt's son, his name is Rhett also. For people who have never seen it, I've been called Rat, Brett, Brat. When I introduced myself, I'm like, did I say rat? No, I did not. Why would my parents name me after vermin?
Rat Brian.
Oh, my gosh.
What the hell?
That's gotta be racist.
I have listened to this my whole life, and so I've always tried to make it a point that when you meet Ropati Patoatua, you make sure you say his name correctly.
Impressive.
Right.
Giannis
Exactly.
Antetokounmpo?
Noah Igbenogany.
Right. When you meet former Steelers fullback Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala,
Let's go.
address him properly.
Let's go.
Do the homework, man. It ain't that hard. We have a damn computer in our hand that you can make calls and texts on.
Not
Let's
lying.
do
I
this.
will look up stuff to make. I'll do it 3 or 4 times.
Absolutely. Because
with
you
names.
care.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, Kyla.
Now that does happen when I go into character.
I understand that. But if I didn't know you, you'd be like,
Oh,
who
I'd
is
slap
this
you silly
jack
if you called me Kyla.
wagon.
One of the first things that I will do calling a game anywhere, and we do this with the public address announcer at Geodis Park for Nashville SC games, is awesome with this.
Mm-hmm.
I go to him and I will compare notes just to confirm that the phonetic pronunciation guide that we've been given, that we are on the same page and that this is the correct way to say all of these things. And we'll powwow with each other of, it was Metu Chouanier over the weekend for CF Montreal. The names like that are
Gesundheit.
that
Go
are
ahead.
yeah, that's right. That there are some too that it's so hard to just read it and get the correct phonetic pronunciation. That's my pet peeve too, when people don't give you the emphasis on the right syllable and they don't give you the emphasis on the right syllable too to tell you, because that's half the battle.
And sometimes it's innocently done because I'll give you an example right here with the Titans. For 2 years, we've been saying Nick Westbrook Akina.
Yeah.
Mike has called it that way when we've done touchdown call, whatever. He finally said, it's Westbrook Akine. And I'm like, he's so nice, he didn't want to be an ass about it. And I'm like, look, just tell me it's your name. And when I'm not sure, like when we went to the Senior Bowl, the edge rusher from Northwestern, I said, please help me. I said, is it Aditamiwa Adibare? He said, perfect. Nice. He said, I go by Tommy. I'm like, perfect.
That makes it easier for us. But you're right. Actually, if you get the chance to even just ask them in person with players who come in, whether it be the Titans or the Predators or SC, I'll just get the chance sometimes to go up to them in the locker room and be like, can you just pronounce it so I have
Please
it?
forgive me. I'm, ignorant of
Just
this,
so
so
I know
please help me
firsthand.
here. Yeah.
It's funny, too, because half the time when you ask coaches, like this is the case doing a lot of high school games, you'll ask a high school coach, like, and by the way, how do you pronounce, your wide receiver's name? And half the time they'll just tell you, like, I don't know, ask him when you get to the game. It's like, okay.
Gonzaga?
Gonzaga? Who does Gonzaga play again?
Gonzaga?
I'm literally about, though, putting respect on someone's name.
right.
People talk
Yeah.
about that. I'm literal with that because I don't want to call someone by their name.
They play Grand
improper.
Canyon.
Yeah, I don't want to. So
Grand Canyon and Gonzaga.
Do you know who's at Grand Canyon, y'all? Former Vandy
hold on.
coach.
Yeah, that's right.
You got
It's
it?
Bryce Drew.
There we go.
Yeah.
that's right.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, speaking of that, there is one state that is commonly mispronounced that took a tough loss last night in the first four, and we teased it going into the break that Vanderbilt fans have a case to be a little bit upset about it, but so do Rutgers fans, and so does everyone else because the Mountain West got another at-large bid in the tournament.
Uh-oh.
We'll take a look at that recap. Take a look around the NFL and other headlines developing this morning as free agency continues and as Hour 4 begins. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Gonzaga?
9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The new league year has officially started in the NFL. Coinciding with that, the Titans announced they have assigned second-round tenders on restricted free agents Aaron Brewer and Teair Tart. They also tendered exclusive rights free agent Naquan Jones. The Cincinnati Bengals are signing four-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. to a 4-year deal worth $64 million, including $43.5 million guaranteed. Fairleigh Dickinson and Arizona State both won their first 4 contests last night. NCAA Tournament begins in earnest today. Our game coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, begins at 11 a.m. In the East region, 4th-seeded Tennessee takes on 13th-seeded Louisiana. Tip-off set for 8:40 tonight. Vol Network coverage begins at 8. The Heat defeated the Grizzlies yesterday 138-119 in the association. And to the ice, Bridgestone Arena this evening. Blackhawks at Preds. 7 o'clock will be the face-off. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the Thursday morning edition. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, and we're still here. Alongside Rhett Bryan.
Here.
That's Kayla Anderson. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen.
Gonzaga.
Oh, God. Give me a bucket.
I'm Will Bowling.
You gonna waterboard him?
I'm Will Bowling.
Or we could do the ice bucket challenge. That's great.
Ice bucket challenge. That's
Gonzaga.
9 years
I forgot about that. Was 9 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dang, really?
Yeah. Because that's when Tim Shaw announced that that he had ALS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all the players did it one morning.
Yeah.
Around a practice time there.
That's
at the
right.
Facility.
Yeah.
Titans news.
Yeah,
yes. Some breaking news from the Tennessee Titans as they make it official. The team has officially released edge rusher Bud Dupree, who was officially placed on the NFL's waiver wire by the team late yesterday afternoon, becoming the 6th player released by the Titans this offseason, joining Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones, Robert Woods, Zach Cunningham, and Randy Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
So that frees them up some more money. And, I mean, you figured when they brought in Arden Key, reportedly, because they haven't confirmed that yet, that there was going to be a move. And I think, was it Adam Schefter may have reported that the reason it wasn't done yet prior to yesterday at 3 o'clock, there was still some remaining guaranteed money in his contract or something. There was some language there. So, but, yeah. So Bud is a free agent.
Can I say real quick about Bud?
Go ahead.
And I got to cover him, obviously this last year. And I will say this about him. Always, when he was healthy and he was available, always a guy that you knew was putting 100% out there. And not just in the games, but I think at practice, when I'd see him practice, like he was a guy that would go all out. And I loved seeing that.
I like
you could
Bud
see
the person.
I do too. You could see the passion of how much he still loves the game. It's just unfortunate that the injuries continue to just be a part of his.
Well, and he battled
his life right now.
A hip flexor.
Yeah.
Early in the season, and overcompensated for that, and ended up at the other hip flexor. I mean, so he did his dead level best to try to get to the playing field and make something happen. He was working through a lot of stuff, and those are just 2 that he told us about. I'm sure there's other things because he popped up in the injury report with something, a knee, leg, something.
Yep.
But anyway, I never doubted the effort in trying to get back on the field and play with his teammates. He clearly wants to play.
Yeah.
Well, the NCAA Tournament continues today, the first round beginning here on The Zone after a 1-hour Buck Rising show, Lucas Panzica, Jonathan Schaefer extravaganza coming up from Party Foul. Jonathan Schaefer working overtime this morning.
Yes.
In the world, Craig. Last night, Arizona State exposing a conference that I feel like is always getting exposed this time of year in the Mountain West Conference. Eytan Shander has made all of us and all of you College of Charleston fans today as they take on San Diego State in Orlando, Florida. But last night, Arizona State beat Nevada 98-73 and advanced to take on 6th-seeded TCU tomorrow night in Denver. They were 8 of 14 from three and 68% from the field in the first half. And I saw Vandy fans were upset about this, of like, oh, well, we should have been over that and all this stuff. And okay, yeah, like there were 4 teams ahead of you too. But I understand the gripe that a lot of power conference teams on the outside looking in have when a team for the Mountain West loses by 25 points in the first 4 last night in Dayton.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. And look, give Arizona State a little bit of credit. I know that Pac-12 has been down in recent years, but they're starting to climb back steadily with UCLA clearly becoming what they used to be traditionally. Arizona, you always got the likes of those types of schools. With Arizona State, they've always kind of been the bottom feeder to Arizona in that state because Arizona's just always had rich tradition there.
Oh gosh, Lou Olson and that program were, seemed like they were there every year for a long time.
But Arizona State has put up a battle this year in the Pac-12, and clearly they're playing some really good basketball. So that was embarrassing.
Yeah, they've played a tough schedule too. The Pac-12 is interesting to me because Arizona and UCLA have been terrific, and they both played tough non-conference schedules. And Tennessee's home and home with Arizona was so great. I hope that continues in the future.
Because of the relationship with Mark Few. You're talking about Gonzaga. Sorry, I'm talking about Gonzaga and Arizona.
Yeah, I meant Tennessee and Arizona's home and home has been great.
Yes. Yeah.
Gonzaga.
Sorry, I'm going back.
Gonzaga. No, but the fact that I, as a neutral observer, now have a dislike for Arizona means that series should continue.
There you go.
Okay.
I love making just natural rivals like that. Like, I love hating people across the country.
Do you want to know how much people dislike Arizona in the Pac-12?
Really?
Oh, they don't like it.
Why is that?
I think because they've always been that team, right? Like that program, and their fans get a little bit pompous.
Now
I
too
covered
big for their britches.
I covered the team, and I enjoyed my time down there covering basketball, but I wasn't an outsider at the time. I was covering the team.
There you go. I've got Arizona making a long run. I've got them in my Final Four, actually, and beating Alabama in the Elite Eight.
Look at you.
But I'll save that for this show and not for Twitter, because on Twitter, nobody cares about your bracket once again for the 20th time this week. But then again, I've just been in, I guess, a bad mood. So anyway, according to Red, I've been in a bad mood.
Well, you were until Eytan kind of righted the ship, and then you're trying to run it back into the ditch again. So
I'm kidding.
Here we go with a struggle.
I'm kidding. It's my battered Vols syndrome coming out on a game day.
Hey, let's separate the Vols for just a moment.
Okay.
This is still great. You said it near the top of the show early this morning. It's one of your favorite days of the year. It is mine, too. I love this. Yeah. I like it so much. I'm going to the borough and going to go to Party Foul and hang out with Buck and Slay and everybody. I think it's great. It's a great day to kind of just take in some basketball
for sure.
And Lord knows anything in the world can happen. That's why they call it March Madness.
No, it is my favorite day of the year. Today and tomorrow. Oh,
there it is.
Hello, friends.
Soak it in.
The sound of anxiety, but good anxiety.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I love it.
The sound of anxiety. Dude, we got to get you. First of all, you got to back off some caffeine there.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that tonight because they're playing.
I know.
Only a mug of coffee.
I
was about to go for cup 2 in a minute.
Do you guys know covering this too was one of on the local side when doing local TV? Covering the NCAA tournament, there's nothing like it. It's so cool. You're getting to meet people from all around the country covering different teams.
Sure.
It's where you make all these connections. It's where I met Corey Curtis and Cal Baxter from News 2 when I was covering the Montana Grizzlies up in Missoula, Montana. And look, years later, I ended up coming there and working for them.
Go Montana State.
Go Montana State. They're the Big Sky rep this year.
Big Sky winners.
That's the thing I thought was always interesting. Nashville, during periods of time over the last 30 years, have hosted some regional play.
Can they do it again?
5 years ago today.
I would love that. That'd be great. I went to some regional play that was at Memorial Gym. Oh gosh, this is 30 years ago, I guess. Rodney Rodgers was playing for Wake Forest. I remember I did go see, I saw Alabama play, and that might have been in that same thing there at Vanderbilt. And this is when Alabama had Big Shot Bob. They had Robert Ory and Latrell Sprewell. But it's really interesting to see that, because that's the great thing about this tournament is, it's all neutral site stuff, and I'd love to see Nashville do more of that.
I do too. That's great point.
Like I'd love to see with the new Titan Stadium a Final Four bid is what I would love. How fun would that be to cover
all
that?
Day.
I just want us to take all of the stuff that's at Lucas Oil Stadium and bring it here to a proper city.
Correct. Also FedEx Forum in Memphis.
Because Indianapolis sucks.
Will, why?
Look at he's going down the Memphis hole again.
Because Memphis has tournament games this year, and I'd rather them be here in a city that people want to visit and stay in.
Will, you are trouble today, sir. What in the world?
That's weird of you to assume that I'm not trouble every day.
That's so funny.
Honestly.
Oh God, I'm starting to see brackets.
Just send them to Buck.
All over.
That's what we've said as a show. Buck would love to see your brackets.
Tag him.
And learn about your fantasy football team.
By the way, I find it appropriate that from our company, we just got, you now have harassment training to do. And I went, apparently they've heard the show.
No, perfect.
Oh, ooh.
So I just got that same.
I did too.
Wait, yep,
email.
I got it too. There
Part
it is.
of the mandatory stuff that we have to do periodically.
Pretty much every company's got to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, get ready to sit down for 30 minutes.
Jonathan Schaefer harasses me for 4 hours a morning.
Right?
Yep.
Proud of it.
I just feel like
Your
every
Honor,
other sentence from
guilty.
Will today is, woe is me.
Get a little mud on the tires.
Don't be Eeyore in this, man. Be Tigger.
No, I'm ready. I'm good to go.
Okay, I don't want you to be Eeyore. Woe is me.
No, I'm excited.
I want you to be Tigger and spring on your tail, man. Let's go.
Exactly.
In T-minus 12 hours, Tennessee will be playing basketball.
I loved Tigger. That was one of my favorites.
I got to stay up late till 8:40.
No, I love
tonight.
it. You know I like staying up late.
You do, and I don't.
Because I've got the adrenaline to just push through a Friday, because tomorrow's Friday and we're going to act like it, by God.
Oh, yeah.
don't
Even
care
if
if
See,
I'm just
that's what I'm
pulling
looking
iron.
for today.
That's right.
For the last 3 hours
It's Friday.
and 12 minutes. Come on, man.
Come on, Will. Gosh. Okay. Cool. 615-737-1045, our number. We'll take some of your phone calls coming up next. I want to ask you guys and pose the question going into Friday and into the weekend. When it comes to this Titans team, what is the biggest need still to be addressed before the NFL draft? It can be keeping your current roster intact. It can be a Jeffrey Simmons extension. It could be adding a wide receiver in free agency. Whatever that move is, what is the move that needs to happen before the NFL draft opens for business in Kansas City next month? And we'll ask the people that question
I like
as well.
that.
615-737-1045. You know what? It's Friday Eve, and we're going to act like it. As Hour 4 continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone.
Look at the math on Will.
Look at the big brain on Will. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone with Rhett Bryan and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045, the number. The question to the people: what is the one biggest move the Titans need to make between now and the NFL draft opening for business? Whether that's in free agency, keeping someone on this team, perhaps they're good. You like where they are going into the draft. I don't think we'll get a lot of those answers because I think there's still business to be done.
All right, I'd like to hear your answers, my answer, and then I want to hear what the callers have to say because this is going to be all over the place.
Well, we do have someone that has called in to talk about the team that Joe Hunk affectionately refers to as what, Jonathan Schaefer? As Gonzaga. That's on me. That's on me. No, demerit me for that. I did not cue you for that audio. I just blindly led you into a brick wall there for a moment. Quickly. Hey, wait, Joe Hunk said Gonzaga, not Gonzaga.
Gonzaga?
There it is. Gonzaga. So Frying Pan has called in.
Gonzaga?
Always enjoy our visits with Frying Pan. Good morning, Frying Pan.
Good morning, folks. Hey, real quick, couple comments. Rhett, on your pronunciation, I do the PA announcing at White House Heritage for football and basketball, and we had a football player a couple years ago, Hispanic fella, really good football player. His last name was Ilramendi, and I would try to help out the other schools in pronunciation. And anyhow, when I would go to like away games, because I follow the team, obviously, they couldn't get it right, and I would try to help them. And, you know, like you said, do your homework, get the name right. We're a human. We're going to make mistakes, but it means so much to those kids to get their name called out and called out the right way. And then a couple other comments as far as, like, college basketball goes. Will, I'm a Tennessee fan.
Yep.
We do two brackets at our household. We do a for fun bracket, and we do a real bracket.
Okay.
In my real bracket, I've got Tennessee losing in the second round to Oral Roberts. In my for fun bracket, I got them going to the championship and losing to Gonzaga.
Whoa.
And Kayla, my wife, she's been a Gonzaga fan since the late 90s.
Yes.
Since Mark Few was hired. Now, she's from here. She's not from the Pacific Northwest, but she's been a Gonzaga fan. And so I would really like to see Gonzaga win a national championship sometime soon. But anyhow, appreciate y'all taking my call.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you, Frying Pan. Appreciate
Gonzaga?
it. I remember.
She's got good taste.
And good on you for pronouncing guys' names right, because
Yeah.
you're right. It means a lot to them at that level, especially in high school.
Because there is a soccer player in Spain whose last name is Illaramendi. And just to say it in the way the Spanish would, here I would say Illaramendi, I guess, or Illaramendi. But yes, that's I remember calling that game, actually. White House Heritage and White House a couple years ago. I remember him. So the question for the people, we'll get to our answers first and take your phone calls at 615-737-1045. What is the one biggest move the Titans need to make before the NFL draft? And Kayla, we will start with you on your pick here to lead us off.
You probably won't find this a big surprise because I've been asking a lot of questions about it when we have people on who can give us their insight. But I really think you've got to get some sort of a veteran wide receiver in here, because that's going to also, because the room is so empty right now, first and foremost. You're going to have depth no matter what. But right now, you've got Treylon Burks as your number one, which you hope is that's the case. He's going to take that step. But other than that, there's not a lot of things filled right now. So you've got to at least start to fill in the pieces a little bit with that before you hit the draft. Because if there is a guy you like in the draft, maybe even more of a speedy guy, you can find a place to take that guy to and continue to build that. But you have to start building that room.
And if you're doing it the way, because Coach Mack talked about that earlier this morning, and he's right in the approach with the numbers that have been reported with these contracts. You have to find a savvy deal like that.
Yes.
Where you're not putting yourself in cap jail again.
Correct.
But I wouldn't disagree with that. Will, I'm going to defer to you now, and then I'll give what I think mine is, because mine's a greater thing for the franchise.
Well, I lean towards Kayla's point also and saying the same thing of signing an elder statesman at wide receiver to join what I would imagine will be a younger wide receiver room that you're going to build through days 1, 2, and/or 3 in the draft this upcoming April. But beyond that, I think in order to know what your cap situation is a little bit more clearly going into 2023, I would love to see a Jeffrey Simmons deal get done.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Before that point, because I think everything else hinges on what do you know you have to pay against the cap to Jeffrey Simmons for 2023? Can you give yourself a little bit more clarity and more flexibility to make some wide receiver signings or to bolster that room however you need to, whether that's in the draft or in free agency, by taking down the number of Jeffrey Simmons' fifth-year option and moving the cap down a little bit. That's a win-win
situation.
100%.
That's exactly right. And that's why I say I'd like to see that before the draft, because it frees up a little extra money so that you can do a wide receiver or whatever position it is that you think is important. And you're making Jeffrey Simmons happy and a Titan for a long time, which is the greater goal in this, because Jeffrey Simmons just doesn't grow on trees. Go find you one, see what happens. And that would be the move I would like to see made. And hopefully we'll see some of those wishes come true.
615-737-1045, our number. I think when you talk about Jeff and the impact he has on the identity of who the Titans are on both sides of the football, it makes so much sense to treat that guy the way you want to in order to keep him here long term. Because when you think about Mike Vrabel's styles of football and you think about what the Tennessee Titans brand and identity has been built on under this organization and this time in Titans history, Jeffrey Simmons is a cornerstone piece of that.
Sure.
Even at his best, A.J. Brown was never as much of a cornerstone of who you are as a franchise. Now, whether or not that should be the case is probably a different discussion. But on offense, it starts with 22 and the pass and the play action game, and Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown was a complement to what you established in the run.
Sure.
On defense, I think it's flipped. What you're able to do defensively begins with 98 up front, and what he's able to do being such a disruptor as one of the best defensive linemen in the game right now.
And let's underline it with this. And I briefly mentioned it in terms of, yes, you can get off of that 10.785 million, whatever it is, that hard number that the fifth-year option is, which is like a franchise tag, in terms of a solid number that counts against your cap. But the other is, again, making Jeff happy, because he's in a place right now, and look, he's a smart guy. He understands this is a business and that things happen. He's seen a lot of his teammates being purged from the roster.
Yep.
So you can tell him all day long, we want you to be a part of this. At some point, you're going to have to back that up. And so how do you quell doubts, fears, concerns, whatever you want to call it, is by putting your money where your mouth is and saying, hey, you're it. You are one of the cornerstones of this team. It's clear you're a leader, not only on the defense, but he's the one that leads those huddles when they finish warming up every game, and that's been a thing for a while.
Right.
So that would make me sleep easier at night.
615-737-1045, the number. Danny in the Borough leads us off this morning. What's going on, Danny?
Hey, everybody. Loving the show this week. I'm glad you guys are going to get some time off to watch some basketball here on Thursday and Friday. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on this subject, and I tend to agree with Kayla that a veteran wide receiver is probably what the Titans ought to focus on, just given the lack of talent that would really match the play style of the Titans offense in this draft. And I do this with a proposed trade in mind. And mind you, I do speak with the full weight and authority of the Bengals front office here. I would like to offer up, and here's the proposed trade. Tyler Boyd, a 6'2" veteran wide receiver who runs a high 4.5 40, speed guy, great hands, team guy, always shows up, rarely injured. And a 4th-round pick for none other than Derrick Henry.
Ooh.
What do you say to that?
Thank you, Danny.
What I say to that is I will take your 4th rounder, but I want T. Higgins.
Ooh, I'm kind of with Rhett.
Yeah.
And I love Tyler Boyd, but I want T. Higgins.
Me too.
That's where I would be.
Yeah, because T. Higgins in the right system is a number 1 wide receiver. at most NFL
a good point.
franchises.
So there we are.
Perfect.
I like that.
Sold.
And then he gets him a stud back because
That's right.
JP Ryan
Exactly.
went elsewhere yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Troy and Goodlettsville up next, 615-737-1045. What's going on, Troy?
Not much, guys. I want to see what y'all thought about Adam Thielen and what he would cost maybe and how long he's got left.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Troy. I'll be honest. Maybe it's a battered Titan syndrome this time instead of battered Vols syndrome.
Oh, geez.
I'm good on retread wide receivers in their 30s for the foreseeable future. I'm just fine.
So you want
Adam
to vet?
Thielen's what, 33? Sorry.
He's 32.
He's 32. He'll play into his age 33 season this year.
But so there's a difference between like a veteran in their 30s and a veteran who's just had that experience, right? So to Will's point, you're looking for a guy that's still in his 20s but has the experience.
I would rather buy lower of someone with less experience who's more athletic and faster to take the top off the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Thielen is going to operate between zone coverages. He's going to be a red zone threat. He's a great red zone wide receiver. I don't know if that helps you as much just in terms of what this team specifically needs, because I feel like you've got a couple of those guys already on your roster. You can always have more red zone threats. I'm not saying you don't want to have more pass catchers in that area of the field, but I think this team needs a lot more speed burners on the outside that's going to take the top off the defense and allow you to have more explosive plays. The Titans were fine in the red zone last year. The problem that Adam Thielen is going to solve for whoever picks him up is not as big of a problem that the Titans have,
That's a good point.
in my opinion.
Yeah, they were good in the red zone when they got there.
Right.
Correct.
615-737-1045. Just got to get there. That's the
exactly
thing.
Right.
Phil and Gallatin up next with us this morning talking Titans. What's going on, Phil?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I agree with a lot of points that y'all are saying, especially about trying to get this defensive guy signed with us. But, you know, when you watch the NFL long enough, you're not shocked anymore. You know, you just don't expect to hold on to stuff because right when you get your expectations up, that's when it falls apart. You know, it's kind of like that perfect woman that just wouldn't work out. So I think that they need a receiver. I do agree with you. I think they need to be young. We don't need to get some old has-been in here that stays around for a little while and doesn't produce us. I think we've been down that road before. So that's my opinion. I hope everybody comes out to Party Foul and supports 104.5 The Zone. Yeah, baby. And y'all got the best producer in the world on here. All right, y'all have a good day.
The best producer in the world. Thank you, Phil.
The world, Craig.
That's why Phil's one of our favorites. Let me propose a name for you at wide receiver. A guy who will be 26 years old when he plays this season.
I'm pulling up his stats because I think we're on the same page. Go ahead.
From a team affectionately known by Rhett Bryan as the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The Indianapolis
We're
Colts.
going a different spot. Okay, go ahead.
Paris Campbell.
Oh.
As a potential option for the Tennessee Titans.
Former Ohio State
There
stud.
you go. Nice. 581 yards last season, which was a career high. He had never posted more than 162 yards in a season. The Spot Track estimation for what his salary number will be, Spot Track estimates a 1-year, $2.5 million deal for him in free agency. Speed is what he's going to give you.
Yep.
An option in the return game as well, but that to me is the kind of third to fourth option I would be really interested in if I'm a Titans, if I'm a member of the Titans organization.
Guess where he's from, too?
Where is he from?
Akron, Ohio. Who else is from Akron, Ohio? I just love when you relate things.
LeBron James. I don't know.
Mike Vrabel.
Mr. Vrabel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Mr. Mike Vrabel. He got that toughness to him, right?
Yeah, and he's one of the.
That's not a bad suggestion. Well,
he ran a 4.31 40 at the NFL Combine.
Well, and here's the other thing that is as important as all of what the points you're making. He played a full 17-game schedule.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't in 20. He didn't really play a whole lot his first 3 years.
Right.
He had some injury things, but he put a whole season together last year. Who I thought you were going to talk about was McCole Hardman.
He's the other one.
And he's been pushing for him.
Because, I mean, and look, people are going to say, well, you got Kyle Phillips, and that's still in process. But you talk about speed now. And if you want him as a returner, you can do that. So, now that's a little more pie in the sky. Paris Campbell, I think, is more along the lines of what we have seen reported and the numbers we've seen reported with those Titans transactions.
Right.
So I see why you're going where you're going.
Right. And I think either one is a deviation from what wide receivers have looked like in this city and in this organization. And I think that's okay. I don't think we need to box ourselves into, you've got to have these big physical wide receivers who are willing to run block. And I think maybe it's time to have a wide receiver or two who's not as willing to run block. I almost think that's a positive for this team because you have Traylon Burks. I think you're assuming that this team is going to go pick up another big physical guy in the draft.
Yep.
I mean, heck, if Cedric Tillman is there in the second round, or if you feel like you've got an opportunity for him in day 2, that would be more your typical quote-unquote Titans receiver. But a lot of those typical archetypes of players kind of went out the window when John Robinson left and a new regime came in. So why not be open to signing a guy like McCole Hardman or Paris Campbell who's going to give you that speed element that Mike Vrabel continues to bring up unprompted time and time again when he talks to the media.
What you're speaking about is a receiver with the quicks who has a little more poetic license on free release, who has the speed to separate versus a defender and get open for his quarterback.
Right.
And what quarterbacks has Paris Campbell really had up there?
Nathaniel.
Oh, boy.
Nathaniel.
That's right. The artist formerly known as Phillip Rivers, who I think could probably step in and be about as good as
He would have been the best of
last year.
Nathaniel.
Rivers
We're
was
talking Carson Wentz. We're talking Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Crazy. Let's go to Alvin in Nashville before we hit our final break this morning. What's up, Alvin? Hey, Alvin, you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
We're good.
Yeah, I would like to see a cover corner, somebody that can cover man to man. Our secondary was getting burned a little bit last year. I'd like to see some on that line. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. That is a topic we have not discussed as much on the show. That we've just kind of had conversations about leading into free agency and just the draft priorities. But I don't think any of us would be surprised if corner is a place the Titans go in free agency or the draft.
Rhett mentioned it. Didn't you, Rhett? I mean, you said they're never opposed to drafting a good corner.
No. Especially when there's one, and again, we're seeing this unfold. What they do in the next 2-3 weeks before the draft happens in a little over a month could help set them up for taking a best available player who happens to be a corner. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a guy that's sitting out there in free agency. Now, he's more of a safety, but there are corners in this draft who can help you, whether it's Witherspoon from Illinois or it's, Joey Porter Jr., excuse me, from Penn State. I mean, there's
some good ones.
And then there's guys on it in the later rounds, too.
Yep.
615-737-1045 our number. Our final call for phone calls. We'll get to Bill talking Titans with us leading off on the other side. We'll also get you a quick primer on the first couple of games that you can hear right here on 1045 The Zone today, courtesy of Westwood One. NCAA March Madness coverage coming up as we wrap up the Thursday edition of Ramon, Kale, and Will, 1045 The Zone. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. On a boat, Kayla Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Dress it up and go to Nassau. Oh, it's March Madness. Imminent in the next hour.
Come on, Rhett.
Well, till you start acting. I can't pull off rapping anything, but this is a good song.
Hey, good buddy.
March Madness by Future. It's been my alarm for the last 16 days. So I
Will
wake up in the
Bolden
morning.
likes rap. Hear it every day on Ramon,
go.
Caitlin, Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Let's get to one more Titans call before we get out of here this morning and make way for the Lucas Panzica Show with Jonathan Schaefer producing. Let's go to Bill, our final call this morning. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning. I'm going to say they need to sign the 49ers marketing and the PR department.
Oh.
So when they sign Steve Young and Jerry Rice, they can sell the team. But seriously, I think Jeffrey Simmons and then I wanted to ask, do the Titans ever restructure contracts to free up money?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bill. They have not done that yet. I know we have discussed that with Mike Giditti of Spot Track in the past, that they could free up about $15 million by restructuring Ryan Tannehill's contract.
Well, and they've done that once a couple of years ago, which kind of put them behind the eight ball, and then Kevin Byard's done it a couple of years ago. And here's the thing, Bill, and you're seeing all these deals in teams that needed cap money, restructure. And that's fine, because everybody thinks the salary cap is a myth. You wait and see. If you could screenshot and save those tweets of the reported transactions and look 2 seasons down the road, and you'll see them with a massive purge or a problem because they're in salary cap jail, because all you're doing is kicking the can down the road. And there are some times when a restructure is a necessary evil. But I think what they're trying to do, what Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel and the organization is trying to do, is stay away from getting back in cap jail, as Coach Mack said so well this morning.
A little bit of news from Cameron Wolf, NFL Network, this morning, reporting that linebacker Elandon Roberts has signed a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right.
Perhaps Devin Bush going elsewhere then?
Yeah, he's definitely going
gone?
elsewhere.
He gone?
Because they didn't pick up his option.
And Robert Spillane on the move too, right?
Yeah, he's going to Las Vegas. They picked up Holcomb from Washington.
Yes.
So they're basically rebuilding that entire linebacker corps, because the only one they have under contract, I think, in terms of inside is Miles Jack.
Yeah.
And I think, didn't I see they restructured Minkah Fitzpatrick to free up some room?
Yeah, freed up about $10 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And again, that's something they're going to have to pay for at some point down the road. As Ramon would say, the receipts still come due.
And it's pretty common for them that nowhere near to the degree that New Orleans does, but Pittsburgh will often do those and then restructure further down the line. So that's a pretty common tactic for them. But they don't usually go real deep into the free agent market either. They usually will spend the money on guys that are homegrown. TJ Watt being a perfect example of that.
And they have a habit of letting a lot of talent go when it's time to go.
And a year early sometimes,
Yep.
They kind of just get it right. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally they get it wrong. Mike Hilton was one they got wrong. Sutton may be one that they got wrong, because no one has a 100% record on that.
But overall,
pretty good.
Yeah.
Nate Washington was one that worked out pretty well
Oh,
for the
yeah.
Titans.
Yeah, and
Our friend.
Nate wanted a bigger role because at that time he was on a stacked roster in Pittsburgh. He got to come to Tennessee and be the top guy and get that money.
One matchup today I'm looking forward to on day one of the first round.
Okay.
Fairleigh Dickinson and Purdue. Now, this is great because Fairleigh Dickinson is one of the smallest teams in the modern history of college basketball. And they are playing Purdue, who has a 7'4" center named Zach Edey. Who's
I thought you meant like they only had 3 players small. Like we're talking team.
They are
they're playing 5-on-3. I'm like, that's going to be a problem.
They are one of the shortest teams. Yeah, it's what is that, Hoosiers, where they play with 4 guys at the end of one of the games early in the movie?
Jimmy Chitwood's going to be open for the picket fence.
Their coach said in a interview on camera, said, I ain't worried about Purdue. We're going to go get those guys.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Walk up into the Redwood National Forest and swing that axe. Go ahead there, Big Daddy.
He was like, we can get Purdue. We can take these guys.
Okay.
Like, well.
And you've got a guy
We'll
that's
find out.
7'4".
Yeah, Edie. Like, come on.
Zach Edey is crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Their head coach even said in an interview, quote, "We double the post now, but we'd probably have to triple the post playing against him."
This is correct.
So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The first games, West Virginia and Maryland, going to be an interesting one. The Terps against the Mountain Mamas to begin today.
West Virginia.
And
Mamas.
Furman and Virginia is a popular upset pick coming up at 11:40.
What about Todd Furman in Virginia?
Him too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Missouri is a 1.5
like
point
them.
underdog against 10th seeded Utah State. Give me the Tigers on the money
like
line
Missouri.
all day long.
That's Ron Slay's pick.
I love this. I'm getting ready to watch some basketball.
I'm so
It's going to be
excited.
awesome.
Go down to Party Foul if you have time to.
I'm coming
take a
down.
long
I'll
lunch.
see you there. Let's go.
And just tell your boss that. Just tell him that
we sent
RK
you.
Dub sent you. We're back at it 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Friday.
With an extra pot of coffee. It'll be Friday and we'll act like it. Tomorrow on Ramon, Kayla, and
Saturday,
Will.
Sunday, then.
Believe you, Ramon Foster.